Hey guys, we're here. We're waiting for 40 more people to travel the distance. Yay, it worked. Hey, Starla.
I told you it wasn't me.
Yeah, no, it was me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 'cause we was talking back there, me and a couple others, but you didn't see us. So yeah, it said it ended an hour and 39 minutes ago, and I thought, what? Okay.
Hang on just a second. Heather, you want to come up? You want to come up? Give me a thumbs up if you want to come up. Can you hear me, Heather?
I can hear you. I think she can hear you.
Give me a thumbs up if you want to go up on panel.
Oh, she's in the back. Okay.
Yeah. Heather, if you can hear me, put your thumb up if you want to go on panel. Also, your last name is on there. Do you want your last name on there? If you want, I can delete it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you I'll take it off. I think I can. Edit name. There, I took off your last name.
She didn't have to show herself either. I mean, shoot.
If you want to put a picture up, you can. Heather, I need some hand signals. Do you want to come up on panel? Like a thumbs up if you do.
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid.
I don't see any hand signals. Oh, wait. She did a thumbs up in the chat, I think. Is that a thumbs up? I can't see it.
Oh, in the chat. Let me see. Let me look.
Or is that the middle finger?
Yeah, no, it's a thumbs up.
Okay, here she goes. Here you go, Heather. You ready? She's like, oh, crap. I'm going on panel. Got to remember my words here. Okay, I'm ready. Hey, Heather.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. What?
Can you hear us? Okay.
I was just I was adjusting all of my settings because it had me, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? That was a really nice way for us to all realize that we're techno deficient.
Well,
so what are you up to?
Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay, I think, so it's throwing me.
Well, don't get thrown.
What am I up to?
Yeah, what you up to?
Yeah. I just got home from work and put on sloppy clothes and sitting in my dining room, not camera ready, and I don't care.
Well, that's the best time to hop up on panel, Heather. That's the best time. Just jump right up. Have you had dinner?
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed the channel a lot.
Cool.
I was just checking your link.
Thank goodness. I was thinking I was losing it for some reason.
I know it. I know. And I'm just sitting here staring at it going, I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know, but I don't see anything going on. Well, what do you think? Now, Heather, have you seen the AD video that we were talking about last night?
You know, the audio's jumbling and it's playing back at the same time.
I wonder if maybe if you turn off something.
Do you have your YouTube open?
Oh, do I close the channel?
Yeah, you close your YouTube channel. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I've not ever been on a panel, not this kind of panel.
You'll learn.
Very
It's
cool.
fun.
Yeah,
So what
we
were you
get a lot
asking
of-
me, Miss
We
Vincent?
get a lot of people who have never been up before who come on up here.
Yeah. So what were you asking me? Because it was overlaying stuff on
Okay.
top.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Good. Did you see the video that we were playing last night from AD's channel?
Yes,
Did you
a
watch
little
it?
bit of it.
A little bit?
I caught a little bit of it, but it was earlier than you usually go live. So I didn't catch most of it, if that makes
Well,
sense.
we didn't catch most of it either. We just kind of got partway through. But what we've heard so far, it sounds like Christopher Watts said she got off and told her mom. And it sounds like he also said they helped me downstairs. So that sounds to me like there were other people in the house. And it sounds to me like I'm not so sure she called her mother, because AD is saying that she phoned her mother. But it sounds like Christopher Watts said she told her mother.
Yep, I went back and listened to it again. Yes.
I don't know. I would say that the use of they indicates more than one person.
Yes.
We
Sure
can agree on-
does.
I mean,
Yes.
what do I know? It occurs to me.
I don't think it was NK, and I don't think it was any of her friends. Sorry. I don't believe that. Nobody was calling her that until people started going on channels and made that. And I think MM was one of the first ones, because we were one of the first people that started using initials instead of full names.
We weren't one of the first, hon. I was the first.
Yeah.
I started it in September.
I didn't
In
know
September
who
of
NK
2018.
was, right? When I first found this channel and I started looking, I'll tell you, I was interested in this case from the beginning for one particular reason. But I didn't really gone into the YouTube world of true crime creators. Excuse me. And I didn't know who NK was at first. I still don't know what a Bob is. And that's fine. I'm completely okay with that. I think I am one. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I never.
I think you're a Bob. I think
Yeah,
you're a
we
Bob.
think you're a Bob. Yes.
Okay.
That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Yay.
I'm gonna get a t-shirt. Postmenopausal Bob, whose uterus used to be made out of steel, but it's gone.
We have a lot of people here who are perimenopausal, premenopausal, not at all any ozzle.
Yeah, I don't miss any of it. So
Me
that's
neither.
another story, the little pamphlet I had to read that said you may feel feelings of sorrow or loss. And I told my husband, I'll do a dance in the driveway. I'm not going to miss
Really?
anything at all.
Really?
It's just taking up room and trying to kill me. So we're good. But so I never heard NK before. I think this may have been the first channel where I saw
Mhm.
NK, and I didn't even know who that was. So that's all I can speak to.
Well, I started doing that for a very specific reason, because the NK theory was debunked very early on. And I thought it was disgusting how people were using her name. Uh-oh, Star Mama just fell off the ledge here. And I just felt like all these people involved with the case, all the people connected to the case, and actually I think it was NA was the first person that was the reason. I can't remember for sure. I think it might have been NA, that I just felt like, yeah, okay, they're connected to this true crime case that's on the very public stage, but does that mean that their children, or that their themselves or their spouses or whatever, should be having their names all over creation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's just ludicrous. We're talking about the issues of the case. We're not talking about people. We're simply talking about the dynamics and whatever. So there's no need to put any names out there, I think.
Right. It seems like I mean, I have not researched the case as you have, but the girlfriend, it's a really quick, easy, obvious answer. I think in the chat last night, I replied to somebody that it was low-hanging fruit, right? You would think that would be one of the first people who would be investigated. Although I know we all question the investigation, But
I don't.
if
I don't.
well, there wasn't really one, was there? Oops. What
I
there
think there
was.
was.
Hmm.
I think there was.
Okay. But I mean, I would think that if there was any culpability with the girlfriend, that would have been jumped on
Yeah.
in the investigation. It doesn't make sense to me why they would not want to um, hold that person culpable.
Well, she voluntarily contacted them before they even knew about her.
Right. I mean, I'm
She
not a big
contacted.
fan. I'm not a devotee of NK, but I don't think that there's any reason to assume she had anything to do with it.
I
It
agree.
seems like,
Exactly. And I think the fact that she so quickly jumped to contact them and that she was very open with them. I hear a lot of people who are trying to, throw some shade on her that, oh, she had her dad there. So what? I mean, I took my dad with me to run a U-Haul truck, like I guess if I'm going to take my dad with me to run a U-Haul truck or to return a U-Haul truck, then I guess I might have taken him along with me to chat with an officer about some doink and whatever coworker.
I would take my dad, a lawyer, and possibly another lawyer if I were being questioned, and
Or
not
maybe
because I
not,
committed a
or
violent
maybe
crime.
not.
Mhm.
I mean, or maybe not too, because her role in this, I think, is so minimal. Like, but I have a different opinion than a lot of people about this case. I think that marriage was over long before they started doinking. And I think there are a lot of people who know dang well that that marriage was long over. So I don't see the NK thing as anything. Star
Yeah.
Mom,
I'm
Star
with
Mom
you.
is, huh?
I'm with you 100% on that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, if she reportedly told several people she was getting a divorce, including a
Yeah.
lawyer who was deposed, right? Not deposed, but questioned,
Correct.
interviewed. Sorry.
Yeah. She did.
So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of extramarital affairs, but
I don't think it was extramarital. I don't
yeah,
think it was extramarital. I
there
don't.
are different flavors. There's a spectrum of,
Exactly.
right. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think it wasn't probably the earth-shattering, soul-crushing event that it might seem like if you don't know those facts.
Well, and if you know the statistics, which I don't, but if you know the statistics about how many people are moving on to their next spouse before their divorce is final, it's probably pretty huge. And I honestly, I think that marriage was over literally years before the tragedy. And at the very least, like you mentioned, the lawyer that she said she was getting, divorced, that was in March of 2018. That was 5 months prior to the tragedy. So, and they didn't start doinking until July, right?
Yeah.
So April, May, June, July. So 4 months after she's telling a lawyer she's getting divorced, gee golly, her husband falls in love after she left. She left. And that's another thing. I think it may be a little differently than a lot of people. I think
Mhm.
when she was taken to North Carolina by her father, I don't think she was supposed to return to Colorado.
Yeah, I think, see, I'm interested in this case for several reasons, but I approach things as a counselor, right? And so the first thing that caught my attention, and it was immediate, it was as soon as it was on the news, was when the statement was made that I called her doctor's office and she missed her appointment.
Yeah, right,
And
exactly. And then the story changed, Heather. Then it
oh,
changed. Then it changed to she went into the doctor's office and she just looked at a list of patients and she could tell. So yeah, they changed it because so many of us were going, really? So HIPAA violation 101.
I'd be in jail. I mean, if you called me up and said, my friend had an appointment with you, and did she come to the appointment? My whole answer would be, I cannot disclose. whether anyone
Exactly.
is my client or not.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Unless that client has signed an ROI, a release of information with your name on it, and I have that in their file.
And you're somehow able to verify that the person on the other end of the phone is even that person whose name's in the file. You know, the
Right.
idea that she very casually obtained that information, I don't think so.
Which is, I wouldn't disclose over the phone.
Hypothetically speaking, if she was a caregiver, maybe a paid caregiver, maybe a paid by the state caregiver, maybe a long-term paid by the state caregiver, she may actually have access. If she had a runaway patient, there may have been some communication there.
Well, anyone who's a caregiver, anyone who's on someone's care team would be able to get that information, but not on the phone unless you had some kind of code. But that was the first thing I thought, well, wait, you can't just, I mean, the only person on my personal ROI on medical stuff, I don't have any psychiatric hospitalizations yet, but I mean, never say never, right? But my husband's on it, right? So you can release this to, not saying my husband's name, on YouTube. But, but anyone else who called up, I would hope to God that my doctor wouldn't say whether I even was a patient. Because to say someone missed their appointment, that is disclosing someone's identity. That is identifying information, is what we call that.
Exactly.
So
it's an absolute violation of privacy. There's no way, unless I think she had caregiver status. And I also think she may have been a person who was on whatever list to be able to bring her in for care.
Oh, you mean someone to authorize treatment?
Well, no, something other than an advocate, more like you said, the care team. I think there was a care team, and I think there was quite the file. And I think that the only way she would have been given any information is if she was part of that care team. But here's the other problem with that. I don't necessarily believe that she ever called the doctor or ever found out that she didn't make it there, because she wasn't a nurse. She was not a nurse. She might have been a nurse's something or other, but she wasn't a nurse. So
like a nurse's aide, maybe.
You know, a care team can have many different layers, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that entry-level layer would be the one who'd be able to have access to any medical information. She might have access to driver there, but I'm not sure that would give her access to any medical, that she would be privy to any specific information, including did she make it to her appointment or not. I think it takes a medical power of attorney. It takes at least the medical advocate, and it takes a care team with layers of professionalism, levels of professionalism. There would be the doctor. There would be perhaps whatever nurse dispenses the meds or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It would depend on the system, and it would depend on someone's legally and medically what their role is. If somebody works responsible for transportation, getting someone somewhere and picking them up, that they could be privy to that information. But I don't want to.
But even then, what I think is, I think that there was a team. I love the term care team. In fact, I'll probably start using it, Heather. Thank you. Okay. I'll say the care team by Heather. But I do think there was a care team, and I think that there were many people throughout the years who were part of the care team. But I think it shifted in who and what, because I think I use the word supervisor also. I think there are certain times, if there were children present, where they had to have so many people there.
Anything, anything's possible, and that's the problem with this case is the more I won't use the royal you. For me, the more I look at it, the less I'm sure of. It's just question after question after question. And then that leads me to another question, which leads me to another. And because everything's been redacted and everything's been sealed that isn't redacted,
Well, here's the thing. Are you familiar with the moving day theory?
Yes.
Well, if you apply the moving day theory to any one of your questions, you might have an answer. It's a theory, you know.
Yeah.
You might have
So
an
I
answer.
have some answers. It's not that. It's just I don't feel like I can. You just can't be sure of anything because I don't know.
Well, if you take a look at what you can be sure of, have you ever given your children lots of Tylenol?
I can't give you a big enough no on that one, Miss Mensa.
Exactly. Have you ever given your children Benadryl and Tylenol and stuck them behind a locked bedroom door and expected them to stay there for 12 hours straight?
Okay. None of those three things have I done. Nope.
Okay. And have you ever walked into a child's bedroom and had and seen that your baby had a heavy blanket over her face, and did you grab your cell phone and take a few pictures before you checked to see if she was breathing?
No.
How about if you came through the living room and you saw your little 2-year-old going head first down the stairs towards you? Would you grab your phone and take a picture and say, "Hold on, Cece, time for a picture"?
No, I would drop the phone and grab the kid.
Exactly.
But I probably wouldn't be walking around with my phone while I can't remember what age, 2-year-old was coming down the stairs. I'd probably be right in front of them.
And if your child was hanging off of the bathroom counter crying and afraid that she was going to fall and probably crack her head open on the porcelain, base of the toilet, right? Or on the corner of the counter or whatever. And she was literally climbing to try to drink from the faucet because evidently the child was dehydrated, or maybe it was a reaction to all the Benadryl and Tylenol. I don't know. And she was hanging there and crying. Would you stand in the doorway and take a little video?
No. Okay. And those videos are troubling. They are.
They are troubling.
So to me, when it's a matter of, gee, I wonder what happened, I look at what we saw happening, what we saw that did happen, and I read about Munchausen by proxy, and I think about, I know people like facts. The fact that the autopsy said that they were healthy, and the fact that there was a long list of BS health challenges that we were told forever, for the girls, familial Mediterranean fever, which their likelihood of having that was, I would say, negative, whatever, if there is such a thing, that they would both have lupus, that they would both need surgery on the same day, that they would both have pneumonia on the same day, that they would both have, bronchial this and tubal that and adenoid whatever and allergies up the wazoo. And speaking of up the wazoo, rectal thermometer readings and jars of Vaseline stockpiled. I mean, if that's not enough to make any juror, okay, let's pretend like we're on a mini jury here. You hear any one of those things and you're going to be going, that man is innocent. How the hell did he last this long? Without grabbing those kids, running out the door and joining, like he couldn't really join a convent, but joining some sort of something that he could get the hell away from that.
I want these people in the chat on my jury, man. Country Marge especially, she's cracking me up.
I wish I could see it.
I'm missing the fun here.
Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah.
Well, man, I don't want to be nerd out on you too badly, but there's one thing that I see Munchausen's, and I get it because most people have an understanding of what that means. But DSM-5 changed that. And I really like the change. And the reason why I like the change is that word choices mean a lot to me. And factitious disorder imposed on another is now what that is coded as. So there's factitious disorder imposed on the self and factitious disorder imposed on another, which is what Munchausen by proxy used to be called. And the reason why I like it is because Munchausen syndrome by proxy, it almost has a passive tone, When I think of proxy, like you give someone your proxy vote because you're not really going to vote. So I
Right.
give Ms. Spencer my vote and you vote by proxy for me. I think imposed on another, I really prefer that because it gives a bigger picture.
It's affirmative. It's an assertion. It's
Right.
an assertive action. Here's the thing I think that took place with that. I'm not sure, but when I earned my degree in psychology, there was a split between those who believed that Munchausen by proxy was an illness and those who believed that Munchausen by proxy was a crime. And then, of course, probably I'm guessing 10 to 20% who thought it was both. You know, you kind of take the wheel and say, it's a crime. They need to be prosecuted. Blah, 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 blah. Or in probably in your field a little more, Heather, would be, well, it's an illness. It is an illness.
Well, see,
I'm talking 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And
well,
over the next 3 to 5 years after that, I think it leaned more toward it's a crime. Like, it's like, hello, it's a crime. And okay, yes, maybe it's an illness, but it's a crime.
Yeah, well, I may not represent everyone in my field, but let me say this, that if you ask me, is factitious disorder imposed on another an illness or a crime? My answer will be yes.
Exactly. It's all of the above,
things
right?
can be true at the same time.
All of the above. And I would argue to the person who says it's a mental illness, I would argue that I think our prisons are probably filling up with the mentally ill. So does that mean that if a mentally ill person commits, robbery or arson or something, I'm sorry, well, they were mentally ill. No big deal.
Exactly.
No, you can have a mental illness and not commit a crime. So that's like saying someone commits homicide because they have oppositional defiant disorder.
But the problem is, I think that the Munchausen mom historically has been a sympathetic figure. In the Dee Dee Blanchard case, there was no sympathy at all. But in other cases, there has been sympathy. And I think there's been a little bit of a dance going on to get that sympathy, but there has been sympathy. And it's difficult. There was one gal who went to prison after her daughter went through one procedure after another. Oh my goodness. She was very vocal about changing the laws, about insurance law and everything. I don't know the story that well, but as soon as the little girl was removed from her mother's care, her health improved. And I personally think that's part of the problem with this case, with the tragedy. I think that part of the motivation was a severe need to keep those kids from being healthy. Well, the secret would have been out.
The thing is, the criteria for factitious disorder and factitious disorder imposed on another, the motivation in the criteria has to do with not receiving any tangible benefit, meaning it would be attention or sympathy or an outpouring of oh, those poor girls, oh, you're such a great mom, right? You're
the hero. Yeah,
the martyred mother of the chronically ill children. So malingering. So of course, I just look at this stuff and think, but malingering is not a mental disorder, but it's a feature, or I won't.
They're trying to get the disability payments. If you can convince
secondary gains, the motivation for malingering is not having to go to work, or avoiding military service, or getting money, or having a GoFundMe account.
Well, I would dare say that familial Mediterranean fever may have fit that category.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Definitely.
The thing is, and wasn't there and I'm being careful here because Jeebus, I need to give a disclaimer that I'm not diagnosing anyone, and I can't. Because some of the things I've seen thrown around, I go, it's a little far-fetched. But if I haven't seen someone, right, and assess them, I can't give anyone a diagnosis. But
You've come to the no judgment zone, and
Yes.
also the no freak out zone, because we do allow all opinions here, and we're actual true crimers. And in the actual true crime community, we are allowed to discuss these cases regardless of our education, our profession, whatever. We're allowed to hop right in and become true crimers. And true crimers, we can sit here all day long and say, well, did you see how she looked in that video? Well, you know what I think? Well, take a look at that manicure. There's a problem there. So
we have.
So I just want you to know that you can be very rest assured that on this panel, you know, you're not responsible for what I think or say. I'm not responsible for what you think or say. Star Mama's not responsible for either one of us, whatever we think or say. And we understand, because we actually do have a few brain cells to rub together here on this channel. We understand fully that you're not diagnosing, I'm not diagnosing, Star Mama's not diagnosing. We're just true crimers who are, you know, dishing on a true crime case. So that's
I'm just trying to be very ethical. I just take ethics seriously. So I want it to be clear that to anyone watching that I'm not giving a definitive anything on anything, but it seems like there wasn't there a fundraiser for some pillows?
Yes. That's a joke.
Okay, so I'm thinking, well, and it comes back to two things can be true at the same time. I kind of thought, was this malingering or was this factitious disorder imposed on another? Yes, maybe. You know, because they can co-occur. I mean, it's not.
It could also be domestic violence. Also, if you look at the dynamics, if you're okay, let's reverse the gender. If an abusive husband wanted to put together a fundraiser for pillows for children, you know, because they were so sick and they had to have just the right pillows and they can't afford it, because, and if an abusive husband, let's say the wife actually worked, worked.
Wait, she worked all the time. She was.
I don't mean an MLM. I mean, like, let's say the wife in our hypothetical example here, our hypothetical couple, let's say the wife had a job and she actually worked, and she went to work Monday through Friday, and her husband stayed at home because he was a highly successful executive for $1 billion company, and he was a retired nurse. He decided to retire from nursing to become a stay-at-home dad. And so the kids were at the daycare center all week long while the mom went off to work. And she had to pick the kids up. She wasn't quite sure why, but she didn't want to set off her husband because he was known to have a temper and he had really strong legs. And everyone knew that you had to walk on eggshells around him because he was kind of moody and kind of violent sometimes, because early in their relationship, he actually beat the crap out of her and shoved her out the door and made her stand outside in the cold. And she was stuck out there with no cell phone, no car keys. So, you know, that sometimes, if you're familiar with domestic violence, you know, sometimes it only takes one time to learn who's in charge. So she's heading off to the bank, to her job, 40 hours a week. She's coming home. She's exhausted, man. She's doing everything. She does the laundry, cleans the house, blah, 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 right? Hypothetically speaking, if all of a sudden she goes to work and she finds out that abusive man who's sitting on his duff, spending all their money, all of her paycheck on a bunch of MLM crap, she goes to work and she finds out from her coworkers that they're giving dollar bills to buy her children pillows. OMG. She would be so dehumanized and so unable to vocalize the absurdity of it all. She would basically be like, oh shit, here we go again. Like, what is he going to do next? And she would have just quietly said thank you, right? That dehumanization, I think, goes all the way through this case, to the point that she'll even say, loser, he's a loser. Like, if a man did that, if a man did that to his wife, everyone would be pointing at that video and saying, what an abuser.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting to me how the idea of child abuse is poo-pooed and overlooked because she's female.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, hypothetically, hypothetically speaking, the first time that I locked my husband out of the house with no keys, and I don't remember if it was barefoot or if I'm extrapolating.
Yeah, and it was cold and no money, no billfold, nothing. Yeah.
Locked him out of his own house. That would have been the date of legal separation on some documents today.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. He's a very nice guy, but
exactly.
But yeah, I think that's where I agree with the gender bias. I'm going to call it is that there are still people who don't believe that men can be abused, and so when I see kind of indictments of the family, I mean, I see things where I think, wow, why was no one stepping in? Why was no one actually throwing a penalty flag on some things?
Well, I think they couldn't. I think in particular.
Can you get rid of King of Simp Demand in here? They're in here trolling. He's in here saying, they're in here saying, who's worse, these grandmas up here or Dave? Get him out of here. They're carrying on. They're disrupting. What? They're disrupting the chest. Who's worse, these grandmas or Dave? Really? Get out of here.
That's fine.
We're not the bad ones here. We're discussing stuff. But they say we're not letting her rest in peace. This one's off on this again. And arguing with people in the chat. Good Lord.
Okay, I'll say this as not speaking professionally. If someone's resting in peace, they're resting in peace. Can I just say that? I don't know. I can't see the chat. But someone's saying something awful about someone, even if it is awful, even if everyone in this chat were being perfectly horrible and mean-spirited, that does not change if you are a Christian and you're yelling, let her rest in peace. Somebody is on the other side of eternity, right? They're at their rest.
Right.
And there are no tears and there is no sorrow. And there is a split between this place where we are and the veil. So sorry, just as a person, I get frustrated with that.
Yeah, I've said right from the start that if anybody isn't resting in peace, it has absolutely nothing to do with the true crime channel on social media.
And it has nothing to do with discussing somebody that abused their children either, and trying to keep others from doing by pointing this out. So yeah.
Right. I just think, well, if saying nasty things about people post-mortem somehow jeopardizes their resting in peace, right?
Yeah.
Then every historical figure, like Thomas Jefferson, if rolling in your grave is a thing, he's at 1400 RPM right now. So it's just once someone has died, it's not, and I wouldn't appreciate it if someone came into the chat and said, what a horrible person, I'm glad she got murdered. I would be the first person to jump all over that. But asking questions about events is, I think, one of the points can be to say, hey, if you see this, this is what, looking at it in a rear view mirror, what people notice. So if you see this in this age of everybody, what do they call it? Sharenting, people who put all of their kids all over Facebook. If you see this, this is a sign of neglect or endangerment or abuse or whatever.
Well, I think it begins with whether or not people are even admitting that there's any abuse going on, because I'm getting comments, of course, they're going ballistic. They don't like Operation Cupcake, and I can certainly tell why. But they're saying things like, those girls were always clean and they were always wearing matching clothes. Oh, okay. Really? Is that how we gauge the safety of a child, whether or not the parent is able to dress them? I would hope not. And let's remember who was dressing them. It was Christopher Watts. He was doing the laundry. He was cleaning the house. He was feeding the kids. Like, what on earth does the fact that they might have had matching clothes on have to do with anything?
he had to come home too and go pick him up from daycare. He had to come home and stay with them when they were sick too. For some
Yep.
reason, he had to be there. He had to take off work every time they were sick. So, yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's just as a general statement, abuse and neglect can happen in beautiful homes to beautiful children who are clean and clothed beautifully. I mean, that's not
Exactly.
abuser is no respecter of socioeconomic status, but I think when I do think, why didn't someone do something? But then
Well, answer the question.
what I realize is they may have, first of all, they may have tried.
I'll answer the question. They were afraid of it.
Right. And they got flipped out on and thought, okay, and this is really common. And I can say this from experience, that people often think, I'm going to keep the peace, right? Not being a peacemaker, being a peacekeeper. And so as long as the surface of the waters are still, it's okay. But if I activate this person, something really bad could happen. Or they think they can be told hypothetically, by a mental health professional. This is what I'm suggesting. If you work with a family, right? We're all agreeing to this. And then people get intimidated, or they can't do it, or they think, well, my way is better. So sometimes people try, and then sometimes they don't know what to do. And
the lessons are learned early on. And Cindy and Ronnie Watts learned before the wedding that if they didn't kiss the little butt of Bridezilla, I'm sorry, if they didn't kiss the butt of Bridezilla, then they would be punished with absolute shunning. And even more than shunning, they were punished with abuse. And so they learned the lesson. And I think it was 4 months or so, 4 or 5 months went by when they were absolutely shunned. They were ridiculed. They were insulted. They were treated like total crap. And then all of a sudden, she graced them with her presence. And from that point forward, the lesson was learned. They learned very clearly they would not be able to have access to even communicating with their son if they pissed her off again.
Yeah. Well, for there to be change, even if someone in the family did identify this stuff as abuse, if there's going to be change, the whole system has to change.
Yep.
And that's just family systems 101. And so all it takes is for one person the system has to support whatever the behavior is.
Well, I will say this, I applaud the Watts family, because it wasn't just Cindy who didn't go to the wedding. It wasn't just Ronnie and Cindy. It was the entire Watts clan.
Right. Grandma went, right? That was it.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it. And Grandma got treated like total crap. Total crap. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't even be nice to Grandma.
Right. So the thing is, for there to be change, the whole of the system has to work together. Right. So if one person splinters off and decides to not hold the line where the line has been agreed to, and so I don't have any idea what happens.
No, I don't negotiate with abusers at all. I think myself, I think the Watts did an amazing boundary when they said, we're not going. We're not going. They got treated like crap already enough. Why go? And they didn't go. And I applaud that. I think they did the right thing. I think the problem came after they became grandparents.
Right. Well, the playing field changes at that point.
But one thing that you may not be familiar with this case, they actually were, in my opinion, Christopher Watts' wife was closest to her mother-in-law. They actually got along very well for years. It was only with the nut meltdown that everything hit the fan.
Mm-hmm. And
otherwise,
according to Cindy, they had a very deep conversation right before that.
The night before.
Very close, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that the trauma that she spoke of, I think, hit too close to the surface. And I think the following day, that nut meltdown was connected to that sharing of that trauma.
Well, maybe sharing that trauma broke an unspoken family rule. And
Yes.
I broke a rule, and so I've got to do something to
pledge her allegiance.
Discredit any source that's going to say that I broke that rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Well, she was on the phone with her mother right before the nut meltdown. So that would make sense. I think that connection, whether or how she was triggered, I find it most interesting that she said to Cindy said to her something along the lines of, I'm so proud of you. You're so strong. You're so amazing. I had no idea what you went through. Good for you for overcoming or whatever. Cindy's a very, person. And Christopher Watt's wife responded, does that mean you love me? That one just got me to thinking of, whoa, whoa, ouch. That little girl had some hurt going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at it's just terribly sad, the entire situation. And everyone who had the power to make changes or to stop things was unable to do that or unwilling to do that. And the only ones who hung in the balance, the daughters had no power. I mean, they were, stakeholders, but they weren't decision makers.
Yeah.
And
I don't think anyone really had the power to change anything of significance, because I think the girls were at risk of being removed from the home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was Christopher Watt's choice, was lose the girls, speak up and lose the girls, or speak up and lose the girls. I don't think he had the ability.
He's in a no-win situation, I think.
Right.
Well, and my guess is he was scared.
And he was male. He was male. If he would have been female, it would have been. I think this situation would have been entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have been female, there are resources available. There are attitudes in our culture that are saying that's just not right.
Instead of women abuse centers, there needs to be family abuse centers.
Family abuse, exactly.
Yeah.
Family shelters, family safe havens.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of men out there that have gone through some horrible things with women.
Christopher Watts was told by his wife that he was not allowed to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposedly cleaning the kitchen. Or I'm sorry, no, he had already cleaned the kitchen. He was cleaning the basement.
Yeah, he had to finish that before he could go to, the airport or something, pick a friend up or something.
Yeah, pick a friend up or take a friend to the airport. And she said no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've heard it from Cindy directly. It was, do you do whatever to keep her from going off the handle?
Right.
Or do you just, does she go off the handle? And I think you almost have to live with, and I'm not calling anybody the C word, I think you have to live with the C word on a daily basis and understand and know the stress that comes into your sphere when you're trying to deal with the C word.
Wait a minute. When you say C word, I think you're using a different one than Dave uses, right?
I don't use that word. Yeah.
Right.
It's different.
Okay.
I'm going through my Rolodex in my head trying to figure out what the C word.
No, she don't use that word.
Well, here's a term to say it. I think it is crazy making to be trying to live with the uncertainties of some illnesses. Mm-hmm. And I think that it is like is it called the armchair quarterback? I think, to the Monday Night Football, whatever. It is simple almost for us to look at those videos and go, okay, at that Santa Claus video, he should have put a stop to it and da-da-da-da-da. But had he put a stop to it, he could have had the next 3 days of a total tirade needing two attendants to help him keep whatever, I think there were locks on those bedroom doors for a reason. I think there was a whole lot of the crazy making going on. And I think that if you're in the middle of that and you're trying to survive it, you know, we saw things going on video. What the heck was going on when the video?
Behind closed doors, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. People generally put their best foot forward on Facebook. So yeah, it's sort of, you wonder what wasn't filmed.
And she didn't mind acting out in front of her dad in that Christmas video either. He sat there and saw what she was calling the kids and how they were being treated. He said nothing. He said nothing.
I'll be honest, I had to stop that Christmas video and come back to it because it
Same here.
Be
Same
on
here.
It is.
travel. It just, and the Easter Bunny picture.
Yes.
Well,
That
one
one
that
got me
bothers
what we'll call activated.
the Whack-A-Daddy video bothers me, where she pursued Bella and she turned her to tears. The one with her tickling Cece is very troublesome.
Spraying Bella in the face so she couldn't even see, to want to get away from her out there. This is why we had kids, really.
Was that the one where she said daddy and ran to the door and she said,
Yes.
he opened it and she said, don't you save her. And she
Yes.
it.
And he closed the door.
Mm-hmm.
He closed the slider.
Yeah.
He
We're
taught
just
both.
discussing her videos. I mean, this is stuff that she put out there for people to, her actions for people to look at. So I think we're fair in being able to look at them and discuss them personally, you know?
Well, and if anybody has a problem at all with us discussing child abuse, then you know, I say right back at you, you know, right back at you. Because
Can we at least have as much of a problem with child abuse as we have with discussing it? Because if we had as much of a problem with child abuse as we have listening to people discuss it, maybe some things would change.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the people who have a problem with us discussing child abuse, I think, are abusers. I think when somebody takes the time to seek out a channel that they obviously don't like, and they want to post smack in the comments that she's dead, let her rest in peace. You're just miserable. You're jealous.
You're bashing a dead woman. Yeah, I'm supposed to hearing it. It's ridiculous.
These are not people who are into true crime. They're not people who are into discussing anything. They just pretty much signed on to go run around and to try to harass people.
Yep.
You know, harassing people is pretty much like the first step to being an abusive idiot. If they're okay with child abuse, hallelujah, that's on them. But to be seeking out channels to be posting their crap on it, no, that's not even just anyone with a different opinion. You don't just land on a channel. You don't land on a channel and then look at it and go, oh, this is the channel I hate, and then decide to go into the chat. And then you don't sit there and try to figure out how to spell because you know that we don't like your misspellings. You know, you don't sit there and try to figure out how to put those words together, string a few words together. Or, I don't know, look at your script and put a few words down. You don't do all of that unless you're here intentionally to be a jerk. And if you're a jerk, you're okay with child abuse probably. Like the two go hand in hand. You're going to cruise around social media trying to bug people. Yeah, probably you're okay with lots of Tylenol. Maybe you had lots of Tylenol when you were little. I don't know. But here we discussed the case.
Some liver problems today, I'm going to guess, if you had that much Tylenol in your childhood. But
well, isn't that just disgusting to think that anybody would post on social media lots of Tylenol or the Benadryl and Tylenol routine? Cindy Watts told us on that phone call that the girls would see her coming toward them with a syringe. They would both lean their heads back and open their mouths wide. They would lean their heads back and open their mouths wide, and they would sit there until she put their Tylenol and Benadryl in their mouths.
Okay, so let me ask this. I mean, both of you have children, and I can't see the chat, but I think a lot of people in chat have children. In contrast, when I did have to give my children medication of any kind, it was like a cage match. You know, sometimes you have to have one person hold their head still to get the syringe in their mouth because they hate it. If they're not,
I had one like that was really bad. Yeah.
I mean, I felt bad if I had to give them something, because it's going to taste gross, but they have to have it because it's an antibiotic or whatever it is.
Well, he had to take medicine for seizures, and I didn't have a choice, and I had to make sure he got it all down too. And they spit it out because it tastes bad.
Well,
You
the
can't
thought
make
of
some of that stuff taste good.
We
Like
had
she
a
said,
dog
it was
one
like
time that
they
we had
did
a
that.
dog one time that had to have a hot dog for his pill, but besides that, I don't know of any trouble.
Yeah, I just mean I've not seen a small child who will just sit there, and so she's
No.
saying like baby birds like this.
Yeah.
You did that?
Well, she said they were like two little birdies. Yeah, they were like two little birdies. She said it broke her heart.
Well, yeah, and Bella would bend over for the rectal temperatures too. She didn't mind putting that on there either. I mean, that was disgusting, I thought.
Yeah, that's very
who puts that
1958.
stuff on it? Yes.
Heather,
Yeah.
I have a question, and I don't want you to be remembering at all that you have a certain education or that you have a certain profession. Like, this is just, we're standing around at the grocery store in the produce aisle, and we're talking about this case on the cover of whatever magazine, okay?
Okay.
Do you think, just as a mom, as as a woman, as a person, as a human being with half a brain, even, right? Seriously, you're engaged in the human race, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
you've got some common sense, and you pretty much, you have a few ideas about how things should go. Do you think it's sexual abuse to be messing with a small child's, I don't know, getting the rectal thermometer out, putting the Vaseline out? And why did she have so many jars of Vaseline? That's pretty weird. And making it at least a nightly routine, and then you have your little book that you're writing it down, the temperature.
I thought it was done several times a day because she was documenting the temperatures from the morning till the evening, ever so many hours is what I heard.
Well, if
she had
that's
to do
the
it
case,
for that
that's too much
fever, that
information
whatever
for
that
me to-
was. Yeah, Mediterranean fever. Yeah.
If that's the case, then it's too much information for me to be able to handle, because what I understood it was that supposedly a specialist told her that she had to take daily temps because they had to go back in 3 months so that he would diagnose them both with familial Mediterranean fever.
Yeah, but she thought 99 temperature.
On their head.
She thought 99 temp was a high temperature, and it isn't. Yeah.
Well, my concern would be, if you talk with her for 5 minutes, wouldn't you know that you wouldn't listen to whatever she wrote down anyway? They would be taking that information as gospel. And I'm sorry, I don't think it's that difficult to detect Munchausen and Munchausen by proxy. I don't think it's that difficult. She couldn't remember what her child was in the emergency room for.
Yeah. Mediterranean fever, though, that's not even from that great culture of people, though. That's certain cultures of people that have that. So I don't even know why they would even be testing those kids for that.
I doubt they were. I don't
think they were
the
either.
The autopsy said that those kids did not have any surgery.
Right. I don't believe that they were sick at all. I think the sickness they had is what she created in her own mind for the
Heather,
tension.
do you think that doing the rectal thermometer thing when a child is almost 5 years old, do you think there's a little bit of a borderline weird going on? I don't mean borderline.
Right.
more like a bipolar, weird. I don't know. But is
I'm not even going with bipolar. Yeah, I mean, if your motivation is, I don't know what the YouTube rules are on this, but there could be paraphilic. If you want to look at diagnostic, it could be a paraphilia. That could be sexual abuse if there is any, oh shoot, I'm not supposed to say that, am I? SA. It can be SA if the person wielding the thermometer is receiving any gratification.
Yep,
Yeah.
motivated by that, right.
Mhm.
Yep.
If there's any
I gotcha.
you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If
Yes.
it activates the launch sequence,
Right.
then that okay, as a human being, I think that's weird.
Oh, I think it's weird. I think it violates a boundary
accurate
big time.
there are about 8 ways to get a temperature besides that. But
Yes.
that notwithstanding, yeah, I mean, if it's being done to serve the purposes of the temperature taker, take that how you want to take that.
Exactly. And the violation of the boundary. One thing I think that was interesting was people are talking about how Bella was on, I think it was like not a water park, but some kind of park where there was like a little fountain. So she's like staying on that fountain. Okay.
Kind of
Number
sitting on
one,
it. Yeah.
is there a
Squatting.
parent or a grandparent watching or taking pictures? Obviously, someone was taking pictures. Anyone noticing? Anyone maybe taking little Bella by the hand and distracting her, maybe going off to do something else? No, they take pictures of it and put it on social media.
What was she? I missed the point. What was she staring at?
No, she found a fountain, a little water spout,
Okay.
and she stood over it.
She was squatting over it.
Oh.
For a long time.
We just filmed that?
And they filmed it. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's a choice.
Well, the idea of boundaries, of healthy boundaries, of maybe noticing even, I would have less of a problem with Cindy sitting there saying nothing at all about Benadryl and Tylenol, since she clearly said that she thought that surely the doctor must have told her to do that. She honestly believed that. I think Cindy probably honestly did believe that. But surely she must have noticed some of these behaviors. And wasn't there a video, or not a video, there were pictures found on her phone of one of Jamie's children under the water in the pool. That is a serious violation. Very serious. Taking photos of a child's private parts underwater.
She thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Made a joke of it.
So if you put all this together, it makes the rectal thermometer thing even more concerning. Bella wasn't 2 years old. If Bella was 2 years old, I would still be concerned, because I would think, what are you doing? Like you said, there are many other ways to take the temp. 2 years old, no. The whole rectal thermometer thing is for an infant if it's whatever necessary, and if it's someone who knows how to do it. I highly doubt she even knew how to do it. I think she wanted to play nurse. And I think there were so many examples of her trying to play nurse that somebody should have been able to put 2 and 2 together and go, there's a little bit of munch mom going on here. And we need to step in and protect these children.
Yeah. I mean, the possibilities, since I wasn't in the middle of it, it's maybe someone tried at some point and got smacked down.
I think Bella was starting to talk too. I think she was starting to tell people what was going on.
Possible.
I really do.
Or they, sometimes people don't see things, irrespective of their intelligence level or anything else. And
they draw a mental block to it for some reason.
They don't see what they're not looking for.
Yeah.
And then there was the thing I guess it was somebody in chat said, well, they were well dressed and clean. Okay.
Yeah.
And they don't recognize it, or they do recognize it and don't do anything. They do recognize it and try to do something. From what I've seen, there has been word, and it's unsubstantiated by law enforcement, I guess, that there was something in the works. But
are you talking about the open CPS case?
Yeah. So whether there was or whether there wasn't, the people around those children probably didn't know what to do, or they had been told what to do and they tried it once and it didn't work, and so they backed off. I don't know. Does that make sense? I mean,
Well,
I'm just
I
telling
don't
you
know.
the different dynamics I see. Different people try different things. And
I
so,
think they were in daycare full time to protect them. And I think that the people who were around the children when they weren't in daycare were there to protect them also.
so somebody didn't show up when they were supposed to.
Yep.
It's possible. Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Somebody showed up who wasn't supposed to.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's very sad. It's tragic in scope. I mean, there are hardly any things you can think of that are more horrible than the end of that situation, irrespective of how everyone died, right? And I'm not going to say my thing on that, but it's so not uncommon for people around someone who's disordered to not know how to handle what's happening. And
So there's
many
So there's
times,
a place for promoting awareness then is to say, how can we help? What can we learn from this so that we can help others who may be going through the same situation? And I think, of course, each and every family is different. Each and every case is different. But if you have somebody looking right to the camera saying that she just gave the children lots of Tylenol, start figuring it out what you can do to help, because there's some help that needs to be offered at whatever level, even if it means offering time to babysit, time to just come over and visit. That's one thing I noticed about the video. She did not seem to have friends. She didn't seem to be connected.
yeah. Well, social isolation is a big risk factor for most mental health disorders.
And one of the neighbors didn't even know that children lived in the house.
Yeah.
Those poor kids didn't live in the house.
Well, I think one of the things with help, so if the point is to have some kind of an edifying element to any of these discussions, right? It would be, if you're noticing something, don't, I'm trying to think of how to put this.
Don't enable the abuser.
Don't enable them, but also don't shame the people around them, which tends to make people feel like, I don't want to talk about this with anybody, right? Try to normalize their experience and offer them help, but not condemn the people around them.
Well, I think that one thing that I've thought about this case, I'm shocked at how people are okay with child abuse. Okay.
Oh, you mean like online now or during when it was happening?
The 4 years, the 4 years of discussion.
Yeah.
I'm shocked by the words and the attitudes and whatever, that I almost think, I was talking with Star Mama. We were talking earlier today. Younger women sometimes don't know how it used to be, and some of the things that our generation went through so that their generation could have it good. Yeah. We were ballsy. Sorry, I shouldn't have used that word. We were
of steel. Sorry.
Yeah. We talked about it earlier, right? Star Mama, where maternity leave, not being able to announce your pregnancy right off the bat. We didn't have a lot of the luxuries that shouldn't be luxuries. They should be a given. And one of the things I think how we were able to, basically shift the tide is because we were vocal. And I'm beginning to wonder, okay, I've got to do this here. But I'm beginning to really wonder if we're in a position now, after watching the behaviors since this case hit the headlines, if we're in a position now where we do need to be vocal and say, no, are you okay with child abuse? Oh, okay, because you sound like it, that kind of thing. We went through a lot for 4 years of the attackers trying to shame us for caring about Bella. like there's something wrong with that picture, you know? Maybe we do need to be more vocal and say, no, this is what child abuse looks like. This is child abuse. So let's all take a look, or maybe even say, tell me why this isn't abusive, you know?
I don't know. I think this is not directed at anyone in particular, but I think that what underlies a lot of, outrage is fear. And I think sometimes people don't want to recognize something as abuse because if it looks pretty, then if I see it there, I'm going to have to see it somewhere else. And I don't want to see that. Rather unconsciously, right? We want to see the obvious thing. Some woman with, dirty kids with a Kool-Aid mouth, standing in line at Walmart, screaming at her kids, smacking one of them across the head. And that's obvious. That's abuse. But that's not me, right? I'm not like that. My friends aren't like that. Does that make sense?
So you're talking about the whole idea that the more of a social level, I guess, of being able to say, like, not identifying with that group, it's distant from me, this is a whole different culture. Right. I'm not even a part of that. I don't even have to go there because it's too uncomfortable for me to even look at.
Right.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and I'm saying sometimes it can be purely unconscious. That's not me, my people, right? My family, my friends. We're not like that. That's abuse. And then when something happens, like what happened 4 years ago, we can stand back and say, "Oh, holy Hannah, it just came out of nowhere. No one saw this coming. No one can believe it. There were no signs." See, I think that's easier as a society for us to see it that way.
Well, it's easier that way because it's the lazy way out, because then they can just say, oh, he snapped. There's nothing we could have done about it. And instead, then along comes Mensa going, why doesn't she have any refrigerator art? There's something fishy about that. If you have 2 kids in daycare, you're going to have refrigerator art. And then why does she have the same manicure? All that, like, women don't get the same manicure every time. And this is odd. Did you notice that, you know what I mean? You start asking these questions. This is what true crimers do. You start asking these questions, you start noticing, and you go, there's something fishy here going, there's something fishy going on here. And then you notice the look of fear in Bella's eyes. And when she wanted to have something to eat, and her mother said, oh, you want a laptop? Well, what do we do when you want something? We put it on your vision board. Right. And poor little Bella was hungry. And then
they were always hungry in her videos. They were always wanting to eat.
They were thirsty. They were sick. Yeah. Both kids were sick again. It's like, okay, how many videos did you have to watch to find out there's something very sick here, right in plain sight, and nobody was talking about it?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that's what I'm saying is I think it's we all tend to recognize things that are when someone is very different than we are. Yeah. And so I dare say there are people who could be seeing this stuff in their realm right now who recognize it with that case, who don't recognize it in their own realm, because we don't want to believe that someone who's our friend or in our family, right, or our friend from undergrad or whatever it is, could do that. And so we don't see it.
Or somebody lives in a real nice home and dresses nice and seems to be living a good lifestyle. There couldn't be abuse or anything going on there. Or
yes,
yes, that's the way people look at it. They do.
Yeah, yes. And I'm a Yankee. I have to apologize for that a lot because I live in Texas, but my husband's not a Yankee. But as they say in the South, that's not our people. Right. Mm-hmm. Like that's white trash. That's trash. Trash is who beats their kids. Trash is who abuses their kids. Trash are who neglect their kids. And there's the Yankee attitude. I just don't have a good word for it, but
well, I'll tell you, when I was a police dispatcher many years ago, the first call that I got of domestic violence. And of course, this was before we had a name for it, really. It was back when it was pretty much legal for a man to beat on his wife. And, you know, it was a family issue. And, well, you know. So the first one that I got that was like, well, needing an ambulance, it was a doctor's wife.
Yeah.
And they lived in the nicest neighborhood in our area. And she was pleading with me not to send an ambulance. Like, okay, if you don't want an ambulance, then when I ask you if you have injuries, don't tell me you have injuries, because you're going to get an ambulance. You know?
Right.
But she
Right.
was so concerned that her husband might lose his job.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're concerned about. Well, she's injured. And the irony, of course, is he's a medical doctor, you know? So he injures his wife. She needs medical attention, and she's too afraid to get medical attention because he might not be able to be a medical professional. I mean, come on. Yeah, she got an ambulance. You're damn right she got an ambulance. And hopefully a divorce. I don't know. But, and, you know, it also, though, gave me kind of an inkling of how she stayed in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because she really liked that socioeconomic prestige. She liked it. That was her identity. It was where she was, what she lived. You know, she was injured badly, and she cared about her job.
Well, I think it's the devil, you know, in some cases, and I don't make assumptions about anyone, right? Even if I know somebody's backstory, the first time I meet with somebody, I don't decide I know anything about them based on certain descriptors, right? But I think there's well, I could leave him, but then what's around the corner? I can't see around the corner. So
Or
I can
maybe
make the most of this, and I know I'm going to have enough money.
Or maybe she liked the money.
Right. If I leave, then I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully I would get spousal support, but what if? There are all kinds of things that keep people.
Look at the case of Betty Broderick. I mean, look at what she went through. And, you know, maybe everyone has kind of the little bit of the Broderick fear going on.
Yeah.
She got financially raped.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
You know, I just think that the motivations of family and friends who don't intervene, it's just so complicated because it's legally difficult to intervene. I'll tell you that I haven't ever called CPS on somebody who was a friend, but I've had to call CPS, right? And I'm just going to put that out there as a broad statement. But when you call to report, I have, it has taken me 5 phone calls giving up 4 times after being on hold for an hour to report a valid situation as a professional.
Well, we talked about this the other night on one of our live chats, because I think that CPS workers are not highly educated. They're not highly trained. They're not heavily, I would say their experience is oftentimes not lengthy because the turnover is high.
Yeah.
The burnout rate is high, and bless their hearts, it would have to be high. I mean, how many times do you want to go get, you know, go into somebody's house and have a dog nipping at you and people mad at you and who knows what they have, you know what I mean? It's a hard job.
I'd last 12 minutes as a social worker because of the standards that are required to actually remove a child. People would be shocked. But I'm saying when I've called CPS one time, I literally between 43 and 58 minutes sat on hold 4 times before I got through to report.
If you look at the pay, you know, they don't get paid enough.
Yeah, and I'm not mad at the people who work there. I'm saying when you're on hold and they're playing the, you know, whatever disco music, the hold music, every once in a while, there's a pre-recorded voice that comes through and it says, and it reminds you, if you report someone falsely, that is a felony and they give you all of the fines and the jail time. And it occurred to me last week that, if someone had tried to call and they weren't sure, right? That could hypothetically throw someone off and think, okay, I don't even want to report.
No. Because the whole idea that if they have a concern, they're not calling and saying, I know for a fact that this is a problem and that child's in danger. What they're doing is they're calling and they're saying, I have a concern. And this is why. I was at Walmart and I saw this person. I took down their license plate or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So they're not calling saying, this is a fact and act on it. And if it's not, if you find out it's not a fact, then I'm in trouble. They're not obligated to do that. Their concern, if they have a genuine, authentic concern, then there's no crime in the making.
Yeah, I get that. So I'm thinking maybe if I were to hypothetically call on someone I suspected who I knew as my upline in LuLaRoe, and then there was an investigation. Maybe if I were a certain kind of person, I would not want to deal with the backlash if someone suspected me of having made the call. And I'm not excusing that as a reason for not reporting. But does that make sense?
Specific to this case, I don't think she had people in her life who were not already aware that there was a problem. I don't think she had casual friends or even friends. I think the people in her life were in her life because they were aware there was a problem. And I think a lot of them were making money off of the problem. I think they were employed. And I don't mean by her and I don't mean by her family. I think the state services had funds available to help pay for supervision.
Well, doesn't Colorado heavily emphasize not removing children? And if they do,
I don't know if it's the state of Colorado. I'm not sure if it's the state of Colorado, but that particular county did have the model program for keeping the children in the home if at all possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've gotten information from people, phone calls from people who spell it out exactly what they claim happened. And I'm telling you, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. When you look at this case and then you get some of that information in your ear and you go, really? And then it all fits and it's like, hokey Pete. And then fast forward to the birthday party. That birthday party, I'm sorry, you guys, that just slays me that we've been discussing this case for 4 years. And like Star Mama, you said it the other night. Like we never saw that. We never knew it.
We didn't for 4 years, right? We never looked at it and noticed anything really weird, did we? Or even see that? No.
Never. We're listening to the video and it's Happy Birthday Cece, except nobody knows her name.
And there's only one cupcake. There's no balloons, no presents, nothing for him to drink, no other cupcakes for the other kids. Kind of weird.
Kind of like a visiting room for maybe kids to come and visit their parents. And
and they didn't even know her name.
So I'm assuming there wasn't a cake knife anywhere.
No. No.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you notice Heather just checked the knives?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, I was really just coming on here to check the link for you. So I didn't mean to sort of sit here.
No, it's great.
Yeah, I'm really glad you hopped up, Heather.
I can let somebody else get on. I'll still listen, but I appreciate your investigation. And as far as asking questions, right? Everybody says, why are you asking questions? It's just, you're crap disturbers. That's all it is.
Oh, gosh.
You
Thank you.
obviously just enjoy, what are we going to call it? Disturbing the peaceful rest of the departed.
Yes.
Seems to be your complete motivation.
We get a thrill out of that, apparently.
No, Heather, you missed the first year. We're jealous.
Of who?
We're jealous because, well, I always ask, jealous of what?
Right.
And then they say things like, I'm jealous because she was beautiful. I'm jealous because she was successful. I'm jealous because she, let me think, what else did they say? I'm jealous because she was beautiful. Jealous because she was successful. Oh, I got a text message from a North Carolina phone number who told me that Christopher Watts would never be interested in me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're dealing with absolute.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
hypothetically, since we're on the hypothetical train, if he were out of prison and slid into your DMs, as they say, and wanted to date you, what would you? I mean, you're jealous because Chris Watts wouldn't ask you out. What if he was a free man and could ask you out? Can you answer that for the world?
Christopher Watts is younger than my children, and if he was anything close to my age, if he was anything close to my age, A, he's ugly.
Yeah.
B, he's stupid. C, he's uneducated. D, he had a weirdo wife that I wouldn't care for that kind of baggage coming on board. You know what I'm saying?
With that ex, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Can you imagine? Yeah, you take inventory of that stuff, and his family, there is no way in hell I would want to be in that family. Sorry.
Yeah. It's just some of the accusations. I mean, I don't mean to be condescending, but maybe I am. So, okay. But I mean, some of the criticisms are just, we could sit and kind of work out some better ones than that.
Well,
the ones that seem to come through are just kind of stupid, right?
I think we should charge though, because I think we should do it, like maybe wait till they up their contracts. Maybe we could submit a bid because we could come up with better stuff than what they're coming up with for sure.
Yeah, I could come up with 5 right now, just off the top.
If you tell me that I'm jealous of a dead person who died broke while her husband was in love with another woman and she was losing her house, let me think what else. Right? Jealous of
life-threatening diseases. What is it? I mean,
she was successful, made a lot of money. Very successful woman.
And I forgot though, jealous of all that lupus, fibro, celiac, a leaking store-bought boob. I mean,
she had a nice home. Lived high on the hog and was in debt up to her butt. Yeah.
You just broke me with that, Ms. Benson.
Well, and the whole idea that she spent the majority of her life trying to control other people with food or lack of food, either way. Jealous of that, jealous of the fact that she didn't pay her HOA dues because she said she didn't know what address to mail them to. I mean, jealous of what? Jealous of the fact that she paid money to be put in a 10-page magazine so that she could pretend that her husband's earnings being spent on her products somehow.
Are you jealous of her leopard dress?
Oh,
I had to say that. Well, I'm sorry.
If you look closely with that leopard dress, you can tell which boob was leaking.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell if you look at that leopard dress which store-bought was leaking.
Yeah, she had store-bought.
Well, and jealous of what? My goodness. She confused herself.
She's losing it over that.
Well, she even was confused herself on which food she could even eat. Like, I'm not jealous of someone who's confused about what she should eat. I know what to eat. Heather, do you like salmon?
I love salmon.
Okay. Yep. You're a Bob.
Oh, is that all it takes?
No, it's a lot more. A lot more. I just wanted to
but she liked McDonald's, and I didn't think people had celiac and gluten problems and all her problems could eat stuff at McDonald's without getting deathly sick.
She got confused. Yeah. She had such a laundry list of bullshit that she couldn't even keep it straight. No. Jealous of what? Her high intelligence?
Jealous of her little dry bites. Yeah. Or
Well, she
her
can answer
rice
questions
cooker with
like
her
that.
boiled eggs. No, thank you.
And I'm
Mm-mm.
sorry, I'll never be jealous of a woman who takes her kid to the emergency room and then forgets what the diagnosis was. You know, there's just
Yeah,
no,
that's odd.
there's no material there to be jealous of.
Or
I'm
scares
sorry.
your child so bad she poops her pants because she's afraid of seeing Santa Claus, and you keep running her around. And she's crawling away. Yeah, that was
Oh, you know
terrible.
what?
And I
That
don't
Ugh.
that
want to,
video made me angry.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
want to brag or anything, you guys, but I actually do have black hair. I don't have to get it from a bottle, okay?
Yeah.
I don't. I had it naturally, and I have fancy little, license plate frames and sayings, and I have a cute license plate, but I don't try to say that I'm a certain culture or heritage or whatever, and then dye my hair to try to convince others I am, and then try to excuse my temper and blaming it on
Mm-hmm.
my heritage. No, no, I'm not jealous of that. No. And I do know how to cook. Not as good as Star Mama, I'm sure.
Well,
But,
I mean, you're human. Come on. How many of us
but I
can
actually
cook?
know how to cook, and I know how to peel an egg without having to put the eggs in a rice steamer, for Pete's sake. Jealous of what?
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other hand, I will say this. I know people like to say, oh, you're bashing her. No, this is the one channel probably that actually doesn't bash her, because we actually speak the truth about our opinions about this case. We do put Bella and Cece before her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're damn right I will. That's what children expect us to do, okay? But I will say this. I do believe that she actually did have a desire to try hard to better her life. Unfortunately, I don't think she was doing it motivated by wanting her children to be safe. I think she was motivated for her own gain, but I do believe she did try hard to better her position in life. I think she recognized that there were issues. I think she was mentally ill, severely mentally ill, and I think that she struggled. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
through her struggles, she could have, should have, if she would have had a better support system in place. And I'm not saying any one person or any one program failed at all, but if she would have had a better support person in place, if she could have gotten the help that she needed or that would have been more effective in helping her,
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate in her desire to have it better, her desire to have the guts to move far, far away, her desire to have the guts to even pretend like she had a job, because that's
Mm-hmm.
the first step. You know, the first step is to set that goal, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
do appreciate that. I think her suffering, and this is something that makes me angry about the people who are running around just wanting to fight and put up their crappy crap, there's an issue here that needs to be addressed. If you are totally in awe of Christopher Watt's wife, there's an issue that needs to be addressed, because she needed help and she didn't get the help that she needed, and she tried to better her life and she couldn't. That's huge. Now Bella and Cece are a separate issue. And that's where I get going, where I'm like, no, those girls deserve to be safe in their own home, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, you can have the same, these can be a parallel, running. I think these discussions can run parallel to each other. Yeah, I think Bella and Cece were being abused. At the same time, yeah, I think Christopher Watt's wife was suffering. Abusers are suffering anyway. You can have both conversations at the same time. And like Justin was talking about how he was abused. Do you know who Justin is, Heather?
Is that Justin Lee Reacts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw a couple of his early on. I haven't seen it lately, but
Yeah. I mean, and he talked about having some issues after that. People who hurt people are hurt people, right? That's an old saying.
Mm-hmm.
But, those discussions can take place at the same time. I just wish that the people who want to be discussing how perfect she is would just go off to another channel to discuss it, because they're not taking part in any discussion here except to come here to throw their hate at us, you know?
Yeah. Well, my experience with the channel has been that there are times people get heated, right? But I found that it's welcoming to critical thought. So let's talk about it, right? If you disagree or if you have a question, it's sort of, if you can respectfully pose a question or a counterpoint or a challenge, that's one thing. But just coming in saying, you know, whatever, the equivalent of y'all are trash and you're tormenting a dead woman, which I won't plow that field, but that's technically impossible.
Or getting up on the panel and cussing us out and not saying anything except that how bad we are for discussing everything. I mean, that's crazy.
I guess that's a function of how you're raised and how you like to, I like dialogue. So for me, I haven't felt, and I came in new, and honestly, I felt like paranoid to say, hey, what's this? What's a bob? Because I didn't want to look like a fool. You know what I mean? Because I'd see people come in and say, oh, really? Well, what video was that? Well, what are you talking about, Star Mama? Which video? Where is it? What's the timestamp? And then they'd come back in, just, full of, what, and vinegar.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to ask certain things because it's going to look like I'm fishing for information. I was concerned about how I might come across because I do kind of have a sarcastic bent. And so I can have some comments that are a little bit, I don't know what we want to call them.
Snarky.
B-wordy.
Snarky. Yeah, snarky.
Usually it's in response to somebody saying, she just made more than you do. It's like, well, okay. Anyway, so, but I think it seems to be, I've enjoyed it, but if I were convinced that somebody was the martyred mother, I would go to another channel.
What?
If I were convinced that somebody was the martyred mother with chronic illness who was a stay-at-home mom, back to that, but whatever, this narrative that we have to
hypothetically speaking,
but that's kind of a thing when somebody dies, it's not uncommon that we've got to make them superhuman or flawless or sinless. And that's just not true. Two things can be true at the same time. Someone can be dead and it's a tragedy that they're dead and we wish they weren't dead, but they also weren't perfect. So I think if someone believes that narrative, there are places to go get that information reinforced, right?
Well, don't you find too that there seems to be a blur? It's almost like up is down, down is up, inside out, whatever. But roles used to be very well defined, and I guess this is part of the price of progress, right? Because I think it's difficult to. Boy, this example jumps into my head, and I'm not sure why. But it must be good for a good reason. And I told this story before, but back in the day, when the men went off to war, the town went down to the train station and saw them off. And when they came home, they welcomed them home, right? And the relative of mine who got on the train, and his mother, who collapsed after she ran alongside the train, okay, this was World War II, she got put up in her bed in the bedroom at the family farm. She pretty much stayed there while he was at war. And she got good food. She got taken care of because she couldn't handle having her son at war. And why should you have to handle that, right? I mean, OMG. Nowadays, your sons and daughters go off to war, and you're supposed to just not miss a beat, and you might even get an email or you might get a phone call. The boundaries the roles were so well defined, the boundaries were so well formed that there was such a what's the word, of uplifting when there was whatever the need was, right? Mom, grandma, whoever she was she was absolutely understood and taken care of, and she was fine when he came home. She was fine. You know,
Hey, ma'am, I hate to interrupt you, but that sweet crazy is back in the chat, and she's harassing somebody that's been in here for quite a while, and there's no need for it. She needs to leave Cher alone. I mean, she's not doing anything, and she's harassing her. Needs to stop. I don't know why she's even back here. Needs to. She needs to just cut it out. If somebody come over here and they come here just to cause problems, is all it is.
I can't imagine having that much time
Mm-hmm.
to, I mean, just, or
exactly,
I don't know.
exactly. But so that kind of the boundary thing and the role thing, the definition, it's like we have, I think we've had blurred boundaries, we've had changing roles, we've had almost like a carelessness to the kindness toward others, like a carelessness that, does that make sense, the whole boundary thing and the role thing? Because there used to be like a respect almost, yeah, that would be the word. There was a respect for the good, the bad, the ugly, the painful, the suffering, the happy, the excited, the what. There were roles, there were definitions, there were expectations were known, and there were boundaries that helped kind of protect society from even not meeting those expectations. I'm going to go ahead and talk about a friend without saying anything at all about who, what, when, where. But I have a friend who has an adult child, and he raised him as a single dad. And that kid has had that friend of mine wrapped around his little finger all of his life. I think it was always that single dad thing of wanting to have their kid have it the best because, right? Because he didn't have his mom. And this is now, I don't like doing backwards math. Let me think. So, like, this is 24 years, 26 years, even 20, probably about 28 years later. Nothing has changed. He called me, and I'm hearing the details, and I was saying exactly the same words that I said 28 years ago. He can make his own sack lunch. He can tie his own shoes. He can remember his own books. He can study for that test. That because he was a single dad, I was oftentimes, like, and we worked together. That's how we first met. We worked together. And so I was, of course, always offering my big mouth advice. And 28 years later, I bet you he's still helping him with his shoes. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I haven't seen a difference. There's no framework. There's no, I think our society is suffering so much that we don't have a framework in place where that single dad actually maybe would have had a sister or a cousin or somebody to raise that kid if he couldn't, or to butt in and make sure that, you know what I mean? And so in all of the same way, I mean, tying it right on back, how could anybody have helped, especially when help was already there? How could anybody have helped? How would those roles have been defined well enough and And like Star Mama, you said it should be the family shelter.
Yes.
Not the women's shelter. So, like, we did this great breakthrough in our generation for younger women to have it safe, right? For children to be safe. Now, where did we go wrong? Because the pendulum just went, zoom, and then it came right off the thing and it kept flying and it hit someone, you know? This is so far specific to this case. We're so far off what we set out to accomplish because we never meant to have women be able to sit on their butts all day, call their husbands a loser, spend the family into bankruptcy a couple of times, not pay the bills, and just, you know, with a cavalier attitude of, whatever, let's go get my nails done. When did that pendulum swing so far in the opposite direction that we now have a generation of women who go on social media and attack others because we refuse to look the other way?
Right. Yeah.
I think it's called a rhetorical question. Are we all getting super tired? I'm getting tired.
No, I'm going to get
I'm
off
fine.
because I know people want to. I really came on to test
The link.
link, not camera ready. So thank you for tolerating that. I should have turned
No,
my
you
camera
did
off.
great. You did
No, you
great.
did good. I enjoy it. We should come back, please. You know, I enjoyed
Well,
it.
all right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
people in chat are happy you're here. So don't
Really?
forget to eat your salmon and don't forget to take your vitamin D.
okay, I'm going to let Star Mama talk more because I know that's what people want.
Oh no, not necessarily.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, and my husband watched your. I made him watch part of your biscuit thing, and he's you know, he's a Texas boy, and he said, "Yep, that's how you make those." So he's, and that's legit if he says that. So anyway, thank you.
Well,
thank you.
Thank him for adding credibility because we were wondering.
Oh well, yeah, I know it's been a big question, right? Anyway, all right. Thanks,
Okay,
ladies.
thanks a lot for helping out.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hi, Radio says Heather is killing it.
Yeah.
Contrary Marge says, go Heather.
I think there's some girl in the chat by the name of Shira that wanted to come up. She said she clicked the link or something. She tried to click the link, and even though I don't know, she couldn't get up there. I don't know.
Did she say it recently?
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to click on the link, and even though I'm not comfortable, I can't get up there. I have stated over and over that the problem in society and communities are people are uncomfortable to get involved. That's what she said. You know, I don't know, something happened, I think, in her life that she thought would maybe be beneficial, you know, to share from the way she's talking in the chat.
Is it
and that's why I didn't want that sweet crazy just kept going at her and at her and at her. It was uncalled for. It's just stupid. And why people have to do that.
I bet you were a fun mom. I bet your kids didn't get away with diddle because we're sitting here talking and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Totally not seeing any fighting. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I got an eye for this stuff, man.
Like, what I
do? Yeah. Well, there's no need in her coming back in here and attacking people in the chat. That's just ridiculous, you know? Don't come over here if you're coming over here to attack our subs, you know? Stop.
Well, I feel bad because Set the Record Straight was in here.
Yeah.
And he said, did you see this message?
And I didn't see it either. I couldn't find it. I was all the way back and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I scrolled and scrolled and then I was talking and scrolling at the same time. So I was kind of like, oh my gosh. And then I listened for a little bit, but then I kept scrolling and I wasn't really listening when what you guys were talking. And then I was like, I finally gave up and I don't see him in here at all.
Yeah.
It says drop link for share. Yeah, I dropped the link. Share if you're listening.
She said, let me see. She said, what happened to Society for Abused Children? She said, it ruined my life, and I found out after my mother died at 82 years old in 2018. So I guess she's probably looks like she's had quite a bit going in her life, you know.
People are saying to come up, share.
Yeah.
Samantha says, go share, go share.
Yeah, come up there, you know. Feel free to come up. You know, you don't need to be afraid of anybody in here. I promise I'll watch the chat. I won't let anybody attack you.
Yeah, and I believe her.
And most people don't. Believe me, they don't.
Oh, Spacebound said she isn't going up. How do you know, Spacebound? Did she say no?
Well, she talked like earlier she wanted to go up.
Oh, it says devices not connected. There's one backstage and it says devices not connected. So I don't know what that means.
It means that her whoever it is device isn't probably haven't got it connected to StreamYard. They're probably still in YouTube, maybe. I used to do that stuff all the time. It's kind of hard to get used to it.
Here she is. Okay. Oh,
Right.
It worked and then it didn't. Now it says devices not connected. Oh, there it works. Okay. Hi, Cher.
Hey.
Hi.
So do I need to totally disconnect my YouTube?
I don't know.
You're not echoing, so it sounds okay so far.
Okay.
You sound good. You sound good.
So, I'm sorry, what?
You sound good.
So, I've just been hoping to share something. It's not because it's a pity party, but I think it's very important in this conversation. Is I was raised with a very abusive, narcissistic mother, and I didn't learn about that until I was in my early 30s in counseling with a psychologist. I didn't even know that's what had happened in my life. And I feel after she died, I took care of her. I changed her diapers. I did everything for her in the last few years of her life. She never thanked me. And it's not about blaming her or being ugly about her, but it was the strangest thing that in the weeks and months after she passed, family members and neighbors where I had grown up for all those decades said to me that they knew my mother abused me, but yet they never said anything. And I'm just hoping to share that there is a problem in society that people don't speak up, and it ruined my life. I've never married. It's not about blame. I mean, I'm okay living my life as it is, but I don't trust people. I don't, and my mother was very abusive, not Munchausen by proxy, but nothing I did was ever good enough. She belittled me, made fun of me. When any boyfriend hurt my heart in my early teens, she told me, "Oh, well, you ran him away." And no matter what happened, my younger brother later was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. He would kick me, bite me, hit me. And she'd say, "Well, what did you do to make him do that?" So there was a family outside of my own that could see what was happening, and they didn't feel comfortable to say anything about it until after she was dead at 82 years old, decades later. So my only point is to please ask consideration that there is something wrong in society, that people in some ways I respect, they're uncomfortable to report it. But something has to change about reporting this, because I think the Watts case is a perfect example of why there's something wrong with speaking out. And it definitely messed up my life.
Well, okay, Cher. I have a question. You said that ruined your life?
Well, ruined is a strong word, but I still, everything I do with relationships and everything is tied to my mother telling me I'm not good enough. I mean, even at the end of her life, I changed her diapers. I did everything for her. She never said thank you. She was never grateful. She pitted me against my siblings because she was a narcissist. And professionally, I was told that the same way that I believe, it's just my opinion, that SW was. And, you know, it manifested in a certain way with SW and then with my mother, but I'm much older. And this all happened in the 70s. And when extended family members said this to me weeks and months after my mother died, neighbors and extended family members, yes, we knew about your mother. I was devastated. Like, no one did anything to help me, Miss Mensa. No one.
So really then the crime, the emotional crime, was committed not only by your mom, but by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So.
And I think about Bella with the water in her eyes.
Yes.
And how she ran to the door and how Christopher Watts shut the door on her. That wasn't just her mother who was abusing her. That was her mother and father.
Okay, so can I please interject on that? Is that in the 90s, I was well into my 30s and I was awake in terms of psychologically going, hey, you know, my closest girlfriend that was the one person that ever truly loved me as I was, she suddenly died. My father was dying. And through therapy, which was the first time I'd ever gotten therapy from a clinical psychologist, she told me, your father came through in the 11th hour. My father did not realize the truth about my mother for whatever reasons. He had some very good qualities, and obviously he was blind. He came from nothing. His parents, believe it or not, Miss Mensa, were born in 1892. Yes. They had 6th grade educations. He was the last of 9 children. He did not have opportunities to get an education. He was born in 1930 and decided to learn a skill.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Interesting, because you have like a list a mile long.
I'm sorry.
No, listen. This is interesting.
Yes.
You have a list a mile long about all the reasons why your father wasn't responsible.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was, but he wasn't. Like, he was tuned out. And his focus was survival because, and this isn't things he said. These are things I've deduced. And their house burned down when he was 12 years old. They had nothing but the clothes on their backs. And he was in the Korean War. And my father never felt good enough. Again, these are things I deduced, not things. My father was not a pity party. But there are sociological pieces that are involved that are sociological, not so much psychological, although they bridge together.
So why wasn't your father responsible for putting a stop to it?
Yes, and it took me till later to say, and he apologized to me at the end of his life. He did not see what was going on. And my mother, I was the scapegoat. I was the Bella, you know.
You believe your father didn't see it?
I appreciate your question, and I am upset about it later in life after he's passed. But he did not. And so I think this is the same thing with Chris Watts in a way as to why I'm so attracted to this case is I think Chris Watts chose not to see. My father was trying to work and provide for us, and he got caught up in that from a man's point of view, there is a difference in the way men think versus women, as you know, Miss Mensa. And I'm not making an excuse. I have to work through the questions that you're asking, but I'm not trying to excuse Chris Watts. But as Straight said in his last post, he decided to take the cushion for what happened because he was at fault. And I think my father did that in the end of his life. He realized he had responsibility for things he chose to work and make money for the family, and he was so caught up in that he didn't see the emotional side. I don't know if I'm making sense, and I
Yeah,
do
you are.
apologize.
You are. You are.
Yeah, you're making sense.
Because my parents were born in 1932, and my mother's still living. She's 92. So I know what the era time and stuff. I understand where you're coming from.
I mean, when you have a family, I mean, there is a sociological piece as well as the educational piece. When you think that my father's parents had a 6th grade education, and my
There's
father's
nothing wrong with it.
Huh?
Do you know that 6th grade education was probably better than a 12th grade education now?
Probably.
It might have been. And my father's mother was a Native American and forced into assimilation and given the last name Boyd. And you know, they had nothing. But my thing is, like, I mean, it's a whole nother story for another day, how people think because my skin is so white that I came from privilege. It's hilarious. But I was the first person in my family to get a college bachelor's degree. But what I'm hoping to share the most is there is a problem, in my opinion, in our society that people don't feel comfortable to speak up. And you know, there's proof where even people that witness rapes and things like that, they just choose not to get involved. And I have a younger brother that has been diagnosed as antisocial and personality disorder and bipolar. And after my mother passed, he just had this uprising that he expected all the money, everything. And he decided to, quote, put a hit on me. And yes, and it's real. And he would talk to anyone and whatever. And so I had someone call me that said they had stayed with him for approximately 1 week, where they just couldn't tolerate it anymore, and that he was constantly on the lookout with anyone he ran into to find someone that would drive him to my state to harm me, including, quote, snap my neck. And the man warned me and said, if he ever shows up at your door, don't open the door. But my point in sharing this is not a pity party. There's 2 things I want to share. I had set him up with CPS in North Carolina. Yes, North Carolina, DHS, CPS, whatever you want to call it. And I had regular conversations with them. They were aware that he was threatening my life. They were aware that he was not taking care of his health in a way that was very serious, that could cause him harm and ending his own life.
Hold on, Sheriff.
I'm sorry.
Did you call the police and report it?
Yes. And they got tired of me calling about welfare checks. And they said,
No. Did you call the police and report what you were told about your brother trying to do that?
Yes. And what they told me was I could do a restraining order, which he told me, my younger brother, if I ever did that, he would make sure to kill me. And I was afraid to do that because I know there are people that have done restraining orders against these kind of people, and it just fueled them worse. And so I didn't do that because I was scared of him. So then I went the route to try to get figure out about guardianship, but why would I want guardianship of that, right?
You're not making sense to me.
Okay.
Because if somebody is saying those types of threats and you call the police and they tell you what to do to help, right? If he's threatening you, threatening your life, then why didn't you get a restraining order? Because you were afraid of him?
Yes. I had a psychologist tell me that yes, a restraining order for his type of personality would likely inflame him worse as I was feeling in my gut. So one of the court cases where he had harmed my mother, I asked the judge to have him what do you call it? The evaluation and whatnot. And they did it. And with these people that have antisocial personality disorder, they're so good at it, they slide by. He was held for 3 days and released, Miss Mensa. Seriously. He smashed my face. What? I'm sorry.
It's an interesting irony because we're having this discussion of could people have done something or said something, and talking like about Cindy not speaking up about the Benadryl and Tylenol and everything. What could they have done? How could this have been stopped? How could the girls have been safe and stuff like that? And then, bless her heart, Cher gets right up and is sharing with us about a fearful, just a terrible, frightening, terribly frightening situation. And she did call the police, right? The police advised her to get a temporary protection order, right? And she was too afraid to do it. So, in calling for changes or calling for things needing to be done, that temporary protection order, I don't know if people realize what we've gone through in order to have temporary protection orders.
Miss Mensa, it's not as good as you think for various situations. There are stories with women, with men they're trying to get away from, where they do that and it inflames them worse and they end up with serious injuries because it, excuse me, pisses them off. I mean, when you deal with these personalities, certain things are a no-no. And I think Star Mama might have some valuable input because unless you've lived this, you can't really know. But I think the people around SW were very uncomfortable to speak up, both on a general community level, people are uncomfortable. But SW was such a strong personality in what I've seen with videos and whatnot. The ramifications would have probably been really severe. That's just my little opinion. But I don't know how to make a difference in society with this. And I feel driven with this case that somehow something has to come of it to make a difference in society to stand up, because I think this could have been prevented. I'm not saying this or that person is to blame, but based on my experience in this case, I think something could have been different if society is taught a lesson from this. I'm sorry if I sound like Pollyanna.
I have a question. They're saying in chat that you give a lot of money to Dave.
I stopped. Whoever's doing that.
That's that moving day, that was in here causing stuff last night.
I unsubscribed from Dave and over a month ago, and I can prove that. So at the point I didn't like the direction and I was more in the direction of what you were doing, I unsubscribed and stopped contributing. So whoever's doing that
hold
in
on,
chat
hold on.
is
Listen,
causing trouble.
Oh, please stop. The reason I asked is because if it is true, then I have a couple of questions as far as how it made you feel when he was talking with different words. And the other thing, of course, that's interesting is that somebody in a random chat on a random channel would have known at all that you had given any money to Dave. I think that's very interesting that somebody would be sitting here evidently keeping track of whatever.
Yes, they're scumbag attackers, in my opinion. I get to say that. I did give some money to Dave. Nothing huge, because at rates of $9.99. Okay. So I had a brain injury in July and have not been having any income. So whoever's doing that is trying to cause a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I, over a month ago, unsubscribed from Dave. I'm not even subscribed. I can prove that. And I stopped giving money. Now, because of my financial situation and being on unpaid short-term disability due to my brain trauma.
Hold on, Cher. Hold on. You don't need to go into all those details.
But money probably suddenly went
Cher, really, please. Okay. This moving day. Are you Dave?
What?
Oh my gosh, I can't do this. Sorry, guys. Can't do it. Sorry. Moving day. Are you Dave? Come on, hop up.
Yeah, I want to know who this person is too. They've been here for the last 2 or 3 nights saying the same shit, man. Get up here and whatever you want to say, get up here and say it, man. If you like Dave so much, get up here and tell us why. Gee.
Well, they made one comment that was interesting. I can't remember now. No, it was interesting, but I can't remember what it was. I saw it this morning, so I don't know what it was.
They love to go on like that, but they don't ever like to get up here and afraid you might recognize their voice, I guess. Because they use those fake pictures to go around and do this stuff and cause drama. I just don't understand why because this girl's up here, why bring all that up? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand people's line of thinking sometimes,
Look at what Heather said.
Huh?
Look at what Heather said. I just put the comment up. Yeah, she's a Bob. She's a Bob, all right.
Yeah, you're a Bob, Heather. Yeah, you got it made, girl.
Oh,
she just forgot her glasses.
Mrs. Ben's got a good one. There's Mrs. Ben.
Oh, Mrs. Ben. And that Marge can come up with some good stuff, man.
Yeah, Marge is always spot on. Man,
oh, my God. You ought to have seen her earlier. I was cracking up laughing at her. Oh, my gosh.
She was funny. I think we're getting tired. I'm tired. Oh, there's Marge.
Look at her dancing. Yeah.
Oh, Nuck and Fuds says, no, I'm Dave. I have the stove scraper.
Oh, God. Yeah. I'm Dave. I like peanut butter, Mrs. Ben said. Oh, my God. Well, at least we have a good sense of humor, right?
I know that.
Yeah, Mrs. Ben, or not Mrs. Ben, but Marge, she was saying earlier about the Ramada and producing certain things and that leopard dress added to it. It was funny. She's cracking me up, man. I mean, people just, yeah.
I think Heather didn't know that store-boughts could leak or something. She looked shocked.
Yeah. Oh, Netflix said I'm Dave. I took a nap in the water bed. Oh, my God. Yeah, that death stare. I'm Dave with the death stare. Yeah. See, now we got started. Look at this.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the other night, you're right, Cher. We did call Green Eyed out because when new people come in here and the way and I have been attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked, you're on guard about everybody. And when somebody new comes in and they start carrying on with silly stuff and putting stuff about other things in here, that it makes you wonder why they're in here, because usually it has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Hey, wait a minute. Are you talking to Cher?
Hmm?
Are you talking to Cher?
Well, she's saying in the chat that the other day we called Green Eyed Bandit out, you know.
No.
Yeah, we did, you know. I mean,
total distraction. We're not going there.
no. Okay.
Total distraction. Absolute. It just took me a while because I'm tired. I should have caught on sooner. It was a total distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And now the comments are like following. Oh, geez.
Heather says this bed is too soft. This one's too hard. This one's just right. Mm-hmm.
There's Marge. Don't worry about it, Cher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is so weird. The last couple of days have been really strange. Finding out that he said they helped me downstairs.
Yes.
Man,
I went back and listened to it again, like I told you I was going to. And I didn't get a chance to say it earlier because we was having trouble getting, or I couldn't get up there when you was talking about it. But I went back and listened again after we talked today. And there are a lot of things, about 80% of that I do not agree with, that it was said the way he interpreted the words that's coming out. Okay.
Okay. Do you think that Christopher Watts said they helped me downstairs?
Yes, he did say that. Yes.
Okay. And do you think
that was plain?
She got off and then told her mom?
It sounded something like she got up or she got off and told her and did something and told her mom. Yeah, I didn't hear anything where she called her mom. No, she did. I never heard anything where she said she got up and called her mom. I never heard that. Never heard it. And I was listening.
It was she got up or she got up and called, or she got up and
called her mom. Yeah, she got up and talked to her and called her mom or something.
No, and told her.
And told her mom. Yeah. Well, he said called her mom. I heard it say told her mom, and that is a big difference. Told and called is two different things. Because I have my theory on who some of the people were that were there, but I'm not going to say right now. Okay? I'm just not going to say. I think there was other people there.
How many people?
Definitely. 1, 2, 3, including CW and her, probably a total of 6, 7, and a couple others. Yes, one that was supposed to be watching her and a son. But there was 3 others that was there. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense on certain things. Got up and told her. Yeah. Well, you know, told means she was there. See, Brooke said told means she was there. Kind of, that's what I'm thinking. And he's saying too, he can't, he's saying, even though he's going with all that crap again, and he said, I don't know who was there. And he's going, listen to this, you're going to get a bang out of this. He's going by because, listen to this, he's going basing this that 4 people were there because Chris cooked 4 chicken breasts out on the grill. I had to tell you that. Yes, that's his face. It's because of the 4 chicken breasts on the grill.
Oh, they already did that like 2 years ago.
I know. I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
Might have been 3 years ago. They already did that chicken breast thing. We laughed back then.
But I had to tell you though that was where it went again. That he was basing that on the 4 chicken breasts.
That's hilarious.
But he can't. He said, she said, "F you, F you, F you, and F you, Chris." I've never heard that. I mean, I've heard it, but where's the basis and proof for that?
Yeah,
that was something that's something that comes from CW, I believe. Yeah,
that's something that happened.
Mm-hmm.
That was discussed at length too.
Yeah, but it's going back and rehashing stuff from 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, and then Netflix come out, and then people wanted to twist and turn it and go that way. And now we're back to 4 years ago. Yeah.
I'm glad he's talking about more people being there.
Yeah.
That's good. And I think she did say F you, F you, F you.
I do too. But I don't think it's directed to people, he says. And I do not. He says he knows NK was there and 3 others, but he doesn't know who the others are, and he can't prove. He has his opinion on who they are, but he can't prove it because he said her and somebody that drove the red car and 2 others. That's what he said. So whatever, you know.
Well, at least he's not talking about pings. That's good. Well, let's have a vote. Well, let's just put in your ideas. What do you think the next part of our content is that the other channel creators will make it about? I think it's going to be about the Cupcake birthday party, the no cup, or Operation Cupcake.
Yeah.
Because I
did, like I told people in the chat early, I went over there to be open-minded and give it the benefit of the doubt. I listened to it. I come here last night. We discussed it. I went back, finished listening to it. I re-listened to the whole thing today, and I'm 80% not there about what was said. Okay, so I did give it a chance. So,
Brooke, I had the same thing. The people in my life who know that I'm, looking at this case, or actually know that I've been getting attacked from the idiots about this case, they watch the Netflix thing, and they literally would say to me, okay, so she did it, right? This is what Brooke just said that her dad said. Or they'd say to me things, I mean, they laid it right out what we're thinking, but we're kind of careful about saying. That was their first reaction. They thought for sure that she killed the kids.
Yeah.
And that was from Netflix. Which wasn't that pretty much made with the help of her family?
Yeah. Her family got, well, they say they did not get money, but I know different. And I know there were other things they got too, special gifts and stuff that were sent there. But they got money.
Cindy Watts told me that Netflix was giving out, not to Cindy Watts, that the producer was coming over from England.
Giving brand name purses and stuff, nice bags.
Super expensive handbags, and going to really expensive dinners.
Yes.
I actually did a video with a picture of a very expensive handbag on the front. Boy, did that video get attacked.
I'm sure. Just like the Indianapolis video that we talk about. Yeah. They don't like that either. They don't like it. But too bad. Too bad. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. That's all I'm saying. Prove us wrong.
Well, there's no proving us wrong, Paula.
No, I know they can't. They can't.
No, and we don't expect or want them to. We're just talking about a Facebook post that was out there saying that she was saying checking out at a hospital.
We didn't make this stuff up. It's out there. It's public information.
Exactly. Exactly right. And I'm thinking it's kind of interesting that was all out there, front and center, and nobody's talking about it. And then they get mad when we start to talk about stuff like that? No. Kind of like the cupcake thing. It's right out there, front and center. So why wasn't there a birthday cake? Why weren't there balloons for that birthday party?
Why wasn't there birthday present?
Yeah.
Most kids bring birthday presents of some kind. Why didn't the kids have anything in front of them to drink? Not even a paper plate, not a spoon, not a cup of ice cream, not nothing, not even anything to drink, nothing. Those kids looked like they were in shock to me.
Why
Like,
on
what's
earth
going on? You know?
Why was Cindy attacked for over 4 years for not going to that party when it wasn't even a party?
I wish she had gone. At least we'd known where it was at, right?
Yeah, exactly. She would have walked in and said, "Where's the birthday cake?" She probably would have gone
Mhm.
down to Walmart and gotten the party stuff. Probably paid, $375 or something.
Yeah. Bet she'd got some juices too or something for him to have and some balloons, you know. And she had a present for Cece, so she would have brought it instead of mailing it to him. And I think it got sent back or something, didn't it? I don't know. Crazy.
Well, that might make sense now if they couldn't. I don't know. I'm joking. Okay, Sammy Joe. Whoops! I just dropped my little thingy. Crap! I hope it didn't break it.
Are you eating chocolate mint ice cream again?
I just finished it.
I thought you were.
It was good, and then I dropped everything. Sammy Joe, you want to hop up? There's the link.
Mhm.
Oh my. It was at a place called Play Escape. Play Escape?
Mm,
Let's
that
see.
was a play skate place.
Ghirardelli chocolate chip.
I didn't
Play
know that.
Escape.
Mhm. Yeah.
Play Escape. Play, Discover, Celebrate. Was it in Southern Pines? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Will you ask Sammy Joe if it was in Southern Pines?
Sammy Joe, was it in Southern Pines? Do you know? Do you know where it was at? That what is it called? Oh, Sammy Joe said in Southern Pines, North Carolina. That's what she
Okay.
said. Mhm. Holly said Google image it. Oh, she said Platescape, North Carolina is closed now. It didn't look festive. That didn't look like a typical party for a 3-year-old, let me tell you. It just didn't. I was shocked. My dogs have had a better birthday party than that. At least they got a cup of ice cream and a little hat and a little bandana that said happy birthday. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing it out. I actually got my dogs a little cup of ice cream. We used to get it from Baskin and Robbins for the little dogs we had. It's something they got once a year for their birthday. You can believe that.
Hey, Holly.
Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hey, I just wanted to chime in real quick about the Play Escape place, if I could.
Okay.
I did a search. What I did was I went on SW's page, and I did that search for birthday parties, and I found where she was saying, where is a good place to have a birthday party in North Carolina? We will be there during Cece's birthday. And I guess there was maybe like 12 people responded, different places like parks, this, that, and the other. Well, somebody had suggested that Play Escape place. So I went on Google and I typed it in and I did a image search, and that same exact room came up, that ugly yellow room. But the only difference is all the other kids have, presents, and I think it was just basically a shitty birthday party, just like her wedding, had like no food, no drinks, nothing. I think it was basically just like that. But then also there was that there was like one picture where there was a wall with clouds painted on it. That was the same, and it matched up with that Play Escape place, but it's closed now. But I think, and I know that they didn't know the kid's name, but I think that's just maybe because they didn't live there or something. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, that's just what I think. I mean, the wall was exactly the same. And like the top, there was no, what do you call it? Like roof. It was all open. I mean, it was totally, the pictures totally matched up. And there was
Did they
even
put
one
things
where
on the walls with price tags?
there was,
Do you know?
that's exactly what I was going to say. There was this one picture where, yeah, there was, I don't know what's up with that, but there was like one that said "Don't tread on me," and it was for sale. I mean, I don't know why they're doing that, but yeah, there was one picture like that, and each parent that had a party there, it looked like they decorated the room a little bit different. I mean, some were very elaborate, you know, with like clowns but I mean, I think it was just a bare, crappy party. I think she just didn't, you know, I think, but I mean, it's no surprise because look at her wedding. I mean, she didn't even have food and any types of beverages at her wedding. So that's just kind of what she did. And I'm sure she just said, oh, well, you know, we don't live here and she's got allergies. And I mean, she was just a tacky person to me. And I mean, God, I hate to say that, but it's just no surprise that she didn't have a lot of stuff at the party because that's just.
Maybe she didn't want to spend it on a bunch of kids she didn't know who they were, you know?
Yeah.
That would make sense too.
I don't know who the
if
kids
it was
were.
that place. I don't know either, but they sure didn't know them, you know?
I found one post like on her page that said, "Thanks for having us." And they did a hashtag and it said like 20 kids or something like that. I don't know who they were. I mean, I guess maybe her mom's friends or, I mean, who knows? Who knows? But
I didn't even see her mom. Did you see her mom there? I didn't even see her mom or her brother or anybody there that's in her family, her dad. I didn't see anybody, any family members on her side there either. That's why it just blows my mind, you know, about this.
They still have their website up and it said I don't think they really provided anything. Maybe it was like tablecloths they might have provided, but it was up to the parent to provide everything. And she just didn't, I mean, she didn't do anything. So it's
that's all it's on there was a tablecloth, that's for sure. Doing anything else there. Yeah.
I do think it was probably at that place, but I think it was just a crappy party. I mean, I wish Cindy or someone would say, you know, tell the truth or speak out about something.
Well, I think it's really interesting that is closed. And I think it's interesting that it's so barren, even when it was open. And I just find the whole thing rather suspicious.
Oh, definitely. I mean, gosh, I wish I could find that one picture. I mean, it was 100%, it matched the room, but she probably just paid the deposit or whatever she had to do and got her mom's friends together. I mean, they're still young kids, so, you know, they're still they don't know whose party they're going to. They're just going wherever their parents tell them to, you know? So,
well,
anyway.
There are pictures right on there of parties, and they're actually balloons and everything.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, if she doesn't know how to throw a birthday party by the time her youngest at the time is 3 years old, you know, this whole thing is just screwy.
Yeah, she just did everything.
I don't think it was at that location. I don't. I think it was because of the behavior of the people there. Any of the pictures on this Play Escape website, they show actual children playing with actual toys and engaging with the toys and engaging with each other. What we saw in those pictures or in that video were children who were sitting there like, huh? They had no clue who she was. No clue at all.
She could have had a really nice backyard party for her at, you know, her in-laws' house if she would have just been nice and acted normal and not been so, you know.
Well, why couldn't she had one at her mom and dad's even?
Yeah, well, there too.
They had a nice yard. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed like she was such a difficult person. I mean, everything just had to be so difficult. You know, it couldn't just be a drama-free day with her. It just always had to be some kind of drama. So anyway, but yeah, that's that. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's just
the flooring on one of them, Holly, is identical. That smaller squared flooring.
I'm 90. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was at the place because I went down each. You know, there was lots of suggestions. I was like, because that was driving me crazy about the location of that party because it just was. You know,
I'm just really curious. I'm just really curious because it would be easy to do a website like that. And I don't know why, if their business is closed permanently, it says, why do they keep their website going?
No, that's true. That's true. Or if
So
you go
could
to
it be
Google
that they're trying to
Images,
create a website so that people can say, oh, that was at the Play Escape?
right? Yeah, that's true too. That's true
Because,
too. I just
Star Mama was
think,
saying that about the background stuff, about the photoshopping and everything.
Yeah, you can. You know how, Holly, you can take pictures off your phone and take them and download them at Walgreens or CVS, place like that. But you can pick like a Christmas background, Easter or
oh
Thanksgiving
yeah. Ooh,
background or birthday backgrounds to put back behind the pictures. Like you do the screens like on YouTube channels. They pick those screens, the green screens or whatever they want to put, the fancy things. Yeah, they can do that with pictures because my daughter's
there's no
actually took
telling.
pictures and done it. Yeah.
That's a
I
good
don't know.
There's
point.
absolutely
That's a
no
really good
telling.
point. Where was Bella's birthday party?
Yeah. We heard her talk about it, but I never seen it. Did you? I heard
I'm
Bella talk about it,
surprised.
but I don't remember seeing it. Wasn't she
I'm
supposed to have a
surprised she
mermaid
ever
or
gave
something
them.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I don't know.
surprised she ever even gave the kids birthday parties. To be honest,
Hmm.
that's just, I don't know. It was
Yeah,
just so sad.
considering when CW had his birthday, he was up there doing laundry and stuff instead of being down there for his own birthday because he had stuff he
Oh,
had to get done. Amazing.
oh my,
Yeah.
oh my
Just
gosh.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Well, the show's
Yeah,
been
but I
really good
thought
the
that
last
one
few.
picture of the Santa Claus looked funny because Santa's sitting on a ledge on the side of the wall, not even one of those chairs like Santa Claus sits in. It's like this ledge, the guy's
Yeah,
butt could barely fit on it, you know? And I
yeah.
thought this looks really weird.
On that website. There's pictures of a Santa on there.
Is there?
I don't remember. Yeah, go on there. You'll see. You'll be like, oh my god. I think it was probably there. That's my opinion, and I just think she just was bare bones and she didn't bother to get a cake, balloons, nothing. I mean, that's just
She probably didn't have any money. They were so
yeah,
broke.
yeah. I think that's way near the end. Whenever you
But
know,
you would have thought her mom and dad would have done something for Cece. You know, if they hadn't been around her for so long and it being her birthday, you'd think they would. I mean, they spent all that money at the beach and stuff. Why not a little bit on a birthday party? You know,
yeah,
I don't get it.
yeah. There's no telling what kind of chaos was going on over there when she was there, because
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
wherever she went was just chaos, and it
Hmm.
was stress and drama, and you never knew what the day was going to bring with her.
Nope.
I'll bet that's how it was. You know what I mean? Just always something. And then there at the end was just like the climax of it. Whenever it was
Hmm.
just with the nutgate or nap or whatever happened.
Think what we didn't see. We're looking at what we have
Oh,
seen. Think what
oh,
we haven't seen behind closed doors. That's what scares me. Yeah.
oh, totally, totally.
Hmm.
That just haunts me for those poor girls,
Hmm.
because
Not for
they
them. I worry about what those girls went through. I really
yeah.
do.
Oh
Because they
yeah.
had nobody defending them. They
No.
didn't. And nobody defending them. And she
No,
really had
Tracy.
a issue with Bella. She did. But I
Yeah,
don't
she did.
understand why that CM and his mother and her were in a car together going out looking at real estate. I thought that was extremely odd,
That
that
was
picture
very
in that
strange.
car. Really
Yes, it
strange.
was.
Hmm. And did you notice his mother was in some of the pictures with the Thrive Bunch? And I thought that was weird too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just crazy.
Well, I don't think he's even selling Thrive anymore. So what does that tell you?
No, no. I heard they weren't. I heard him and his wife are very
Maybe
big
they
in real
listened.
estate.
Maybe
Hmm?
they listened to our channel and maybe they learned that maybe that wasn't a good idea.
I hope so. I hope they learned something from it. I don't know how anybody can make any money doing that at all. I mean, if you want to lose everything, go get involved in those big MLMs. They'll
That's
take
right.
everything you got. They'll drain you dry. They'll ruin your marriage. They'll break your home up. They'll take your home and they'll take your bank accounts. They'll take your car. They'll take anything they can get because you'll put
That's right.
everything into it thinking you're going to come out and be rich someday. Yeah.
But don't worry, just be sure to
I
save your receipts because it's all tax deductible.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I often wonder if CW ever found out, or if his parents or anyone ever found out just how broke they were in the end.
Oh, I'm sure they found out.
Well, I told Cindy.
Oh, wow.
She said that
With
they bought that crap from her because they were trying to support her like dream or whatever,
Yeah.
and they never used it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh.
She said, "Oh, I didn't use that. No, I didn't use that. We just bought it so that we didn't, so that we
Well,
could
how
support
come
it."
her daughter-in-law got on and said, my mother-in-law's so sick and I'm mailing her this stuff to make her get to feeling better because she's got to come stay with the girls in a week or so and I need her to get her energy built up. Oh, wow. This is
Yeah.
getting deep. Yeah. But I know her family does because they advertise those patches big time on their arms, especially her dad. Yeah. Not one, he'll have two on him, just like she did.
And that's so awkward because, Thrive, I don't think helped the situation at all with them.
Yeah.
And it's just so ironic that he's going around, wearing that like that.
Yeah. Well, he even did it when he was
just
sitting there in the house, for that TV interview. That was two,
Oh,
one on
yeah.
one arm and one on the other. Yeah. Amazing.
That stuff, I
Well,
think
on that,
that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got sex chat site back in here again.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
No, I think that stuff is like
Mm.
$300 a month. I don't think the average person really wants to spend that type of money on something like that. I mean, maybe they do if it's just great, but especially, older people like CW's parents, they don't need that.
No.
So I don't know. Well, it's been fun.
Well, yeah, and if you look at people and they said it was supposed to help your weight, how come so many of them were really extremely overweight? That's what I don't understand.
Yes.
I don't get that
Yes.
because that's one thing they said, oh, it's supposed to help with their weight. Oh, it's supposed to do this. I didn't see that in any of them. Sorry, I just didn't.
No.
No.
They did not motivate me at all to buy Thrive. I'll tell you that much. Definitely.
They
not
motivated
now.
me never to use it, but they
Yes. Yes. To stay away from it.
Okay, you guys, I'm falling asleep. I'm sitting here yawning.
Oh, great. Well, we need to
What
get her off
time-
or she'll start snoring.
Well, I
All right.
sneezed and then I yawned twice, so it's like, okay, well, we had a slow start. I played like all the music. I was already getting kind of like comfortable, and then remember how it didn't work, and we had to hop over to a new one. I'm like, but this has been a long one.
Yes, it has. Mm-hmm.
So we should
Well,
probably
we've been 2 hours and 40 minutes. So yeah, and I don't know how long the other one was.
Yeah, I was doing that. That was over a half an hour of me sitting there playing music and hoping to figure out how to work it.
And I learned it wasn't my fault.
Nope. Yeah, it wasn't your fault. Nope. So I'm glad you.
What's going on? I couldn't get up there.
I know it. And then we tried and tried and tried. But yeah, let's go ahead and click off so we can do this again soon. I probably not next night or two, but we'll definitely do this pretty quick. I've got a Patreon video going up to Patreon tonight. I think it's like, I'm not sure. I think it's like 9 minutes and something is all. But I think you might like it if you're on Patreon. And what else? I would say, I don't even want to say, but you remember the book Unbelievable?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Well, I have a challenge from a close friend of mine to finish Unbelievable.
Thank goodness.
I know it. Well, and that's not even the Walking on Eggshells one.
Yeah.
Because my friend actually challenged me to finish Walking on Eggshells.
I don't think you can. I think that one bugs you too much.
Well, maybe I can now that some time has passed and that it's been where I can see this weirdness going on right now with them.
Okay.
So I might be able to, in more of a protective nature, say, stop answering your phone, Because really, if she would stop answering her phone, she wouldn't have all those troubles.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yep. I'm with you.
So that's the challenge, and I'm actually going to go ahead and try I accepted the challenge. I'm going to try to achieve it and try my hardest because it's hard, man. I really well for the bulk of it, and then toward the very end of it, it's just like, ooh, ouch, ooh, maybe, well, you know, and I
He
start,
goes back and changes things a trillion times. Believe
yeah,
me.
I
Yeah.
do.
She
So, but
thinks too deep.
I accepted the challenge. I'm going to go ahead and do my best, and I'll keep you guys
Mhm.
posted on that. What I will do, the challenge was to get them all up on Kindle, and that's like a really good way to do it.
Mhm.
Beyond that, I'll go ahead and get them up on other places too. But I'll go ahead and that's the goal. That's the challenge, and I accepted the challenge. So yeah, this will be interesting.
Okay.
So they might be kind of cheesy, and they might actually be short, because the challenge was that whatever I have done by X date is that I put it up there. You know, back before the case of Christopher Watts, I have some that were just like 35 pages. That's
Yeah.
all. 50 pages. That's it. And that was the challenge, because sometimes I think trying to put it in a longer format it doesn't even make sense to do it, because there's so many different topics that we're doing kind of separately.
Mhm.
So these might only be a 50-page essay or something, but I accepted the challenge to get them up on Kindle
Well,
as
I
soon
have
as.
your drastic measures, so.
What did you think of that one? Was that good?
Oh yeah, it was great. I've got it framed in my room. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Oh, okay.
I've got it in a frame. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
how cool is that? Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it's one of the best thing. I can't really call it, like, you don't really just do true crime stories. It's, I don't know how to, it's
I
sort of
call
like
it, I
journals
call,
or something,
I call them, I call them opinion essays, like a true
Yes,
crime.
yes. They're
They're like,
very interesting. I loved it. Yeah.
and all I do is I just put it right out there what I think, and
You
it's,
do.
yeah, it's just like, so that's really, you know what, you just made my day, Star Mama. You
Okay.
just
Well,
made my day. For Pete's sake, Drastic Measures is framed in Star Mama's bedroom. How cool is that?
yes, it is. Hmm. I
How
loved
cool is
it.
it?
Yeah.
Well, when you get your cookbook done, then I'll
Yeah.
do the same. You got to
Okay.
get started on that cookbook, and then
I know.
after we're both rich and famous off of Kindle, then we'll be like, woo woo, we'll go down to visit Mia.
Go down and party, huh?
Yeah, we'll party.
Oh boy.
We'll party. We'll probably be like, oh, it's 9:30. I'm getting tired.
Yeah. Be a bunch of
I'll
party
be like,
poopers, man.
I'll be
Yeah.
like, did I take my pill? I can't remember. Did I take my thyroid pill?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Don't get me started on that. I must be getting tired because everything's getting to be funny now. Okay.
Yeah, really. This is not really
Yeah.
that funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Um,
click off though without doing the music thing, but I'll go ahead and do the everybody. But first, I want to say thank you, Star Mama, for hopping up
oh,
right
thank
up here,
you.
carrying
Anytime.
carrying the convo. Because I'll tell you, especially for playing a bouncer, man, you're a good bouncer. I can tell you used to run a bar,
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't put up with any shit.
Mm-mm. Not really.
I mean, I sat up straighter when you hollered. It was cute. You're like, hey, ma'am, I don't mean to interrupt you. That was
Well, I
cute.
did mean to, but I thought this needed attention. Sometimes people just take it too far. It gets irritating after a while. Yeah.
Oh, it was so cute the way you just jumped right on it. That was cool. So I'll go ahead and say, everyone, have a great night. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And if you came over,
Okay.
if you were one of the 55 who traveled over from the other channel,
Yeah.
thank you for making the journey. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. It's been fun.
So, yeah.
Thank you,
So,
Heather, for coming, and
yeah,
everybody comes up on panel. Thanks, everybody. It's
yeah,
nice. Yes.
it is. It's
Hmm.
really helpful when people hop up and you give their
Yes.
opinions on stuff. So
Hmm.
everybody, I want you to be safe. I want you to be happy and healthy, and I want you to take your vitamin D, take your vitamin C. Definitely eat salmon, and if you're not in love with salmon yet, then do what you got to do to get in love with salmon because it's really healthy. Ooh, Star Mama.
Yes.
We were gonna ask you to read that thingy, so we'll remember that.
I'll do it in the next one. Yes.
Yeah, I'm way too tired to do it tonight, but
okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Star Mama has some really good information. It's about salmon.
Yes.
And other stuff too.
And a few other things. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll do that next time. So don't be shy about salmon. Although it is expensive, it's it's okay to have a very small piece of salmon that's very healthy for you. So
and it's good for you. Yes.
It is so healthy for you that even if you have to kind of get the smaller slice or whatever, because we see it too. We see the prices, man.
Yeah.
They're climbing. So, and also everybody, please, 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 I want each and every one of you to know that you are loved. And good night, everybody. Good night,
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night, Bobs. Bye-bye.
Good night.